Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining. Sorry we're a little late. Joining me tonight is David. Say hello, David. Or don't.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I was just making sure my open feed was muted when you went live. Hasn't started yet.
I
Hello.
need,
Hello everybody.
I need to do that as well. Okay. David's going to be joining me tonight, and he's here. We're waiting on Gonna Go For It, or Peter. He was kind of excited about going over this particular video and the second one that we're going to be doing. I was hoping to open with the second one, but I want to wait until Peter's here because he had quite a bit to contribute on that one. That one's going to be about Darth and Otangelo. This one was one about Darth versus XP, a conversation that they had on Discord. And this one's kind of a weird one because I can't take credit for this, although I would like to. But Darth seems to be getting a little bit more theatrical in what he's trying to do. And it kind of comes across as most of his stuff kind of falls flat for me. Like if he's trying to be funny, I don't think he's ever said anything that's made me laugh. But this kind of comes across as sinister. Maybe that's just me. What did you think, Dave? Did you watch this one?
I probably did. You'd have to play it to see. Let me see what you're actually referring to. Yeah, I mean, I certainly I don't think I've ever laughed at anything that Darth has ever said either. I mean, he just seems to have that. What do you think of his laugh? It really seems like fake. Like he's actually not.
I think at this point, yeah, I've
Like,
heard two or
I
three
mean,
different versions, and I'm convinced that all of them are fake.
yeah, I mean, I mean, occasionally it almost seems like he's actually laughing like a normal person, but 90% of the time when he either makes a joke or says anything and laughs about it, it's fake. I mean, you can just tell the man's, he's miserable. He's just,
Right.
yeah. I mean, the guy's just full of rage and just wants to go after atheists on the internet, and that's his stick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Henry Hansen says Darth is funny without trying, especially when he gets mad. That seems to be kind of it, and he's not really self-aware enough to know that that's sort of what people are mining him for. I mean, he really is. I mean, I think that's the definition of a lulz cow, right? Like this guy's going to keep doing this, so just keep milking him for laughs.
The only time I laugh at Darth is when he stutters. When he gets flustered and he stutters, that's when I laugh. I don't laugh at any of his humor.
Yeah, that always is kind of weird because I don't know if maybe he had a stutter as a kid or some kind of speech impediment, but it's weird to hear him hit it's like a skip in a record because he tries
Yeah,
to.
yeah, and that's when he's flustered and angry. Now he just I don't know, did you catch the Smoky Saint? He just had a battle with Smoky Saint. Tom Rabbittt had a few more videos out. He had a battle with Nephilim Free. That's another one that just came out.
And that one is weird. I'm thinking about reviewing the two of those together. The one with Nephilim Free, and I'll get this will be the kind of last side point, then we'll jump into this video. The one with Nephilim Free kind of deals with like their weird debate over Ecclesiastes, and both of them, from what I can tell, are like arguing about something so minute. It's like they're really missing the point of Ecclesiastes. It just seems like this strange point. They're like trying to because this is in Ecclesiastes, it entails this for soul sleep or whatever weird dogma or doctrine that
Yeah.
they were trying to talk about. And it's like, okay, but if you really want to get into Ecclesiastes and talk about it, you could talk about how you can't even really know God, and the best thing that you can hope for is death. The dead are better off than the living, and it's better if you're never born, shit like that. That's, this is part of special revelation, but it's like, if you take it to mean what it actually says, it's a little bit, as a message, it like kind of directly contradicts other Old Testament books. And it definitely directly contradicts a lot of stuff in the New Testament. So
Yeah.
just I've not in vocabulary, at least in tone and in attitude. So,
Yep.
all right, let's jump into this. And then, as usual, anybody that's listening to it, if you have problems with sound or anything like that, let us know. And David, if you hit something, just give a holler and I'll pause it. So,
Yep.
Here we go.
Yeah. Okay. So when I asked my friend about that, the reason why he says it's true, that he knows it's true, is because he believes that God revealed it to him, and that's why he says it's true. And obviously, like, I can't read his mind, so I don't know objectively, but it could be possible. So
Okay,
according to
so
him, he knows the truth. God wrote it to him.
yeah. So what we have in our hands in that instance is a with all due respect. No, no, let me not insult him. But we have somebody who's obviously unstable, okay, and they need
Okay.
to seek
J. Robin.
spiritual.
J. Robin.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
May I just
Yeah.
interrupt just for a moment? I need to run the Dawkins disgruntification analyzer. Hold on. Let me just push in a couple of buttons. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, here we go. And the analysis is done. According to
This is so weird. Like, this kind of weird. Like, this is just a lot more whimsical than I expect from Darth Dawkins. Like, this sounds like something I might do. You know, possibly. You know, 4 drinks into
Yeah.
an evening. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
maybe he's drinking more. Maybe he's not drinking. Maybe that's the issue.
That could be. That
He's-
could be.
He's
I know.
drying up. Okay, so it's weird too because I think this guy is talking about like a quote unquote a friend of his, but Darth targets all of his like kind of jokey judgmentalism at XP directly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's pretty funny.
my machine,
No one cares.
this is what it indicates about this person.
Oh, that setup was for a clip. Okay. Given the average age of people that are in these Discord channels, I wonder how many caught that musical cue.
Yeah, that is kind of old, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I get that, but I mean, hell,
Yeah.
that Twilight Zone was even before my time. So,
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
boy. Oh, hang on, I think I might. Who's nerds? Waiting for a message from Peter, and I'm not getting anything. I'm not getting any Peter.
Pete is all excited over this, and he doesn't even show up. Like,
Well, I'm hoping everything's okay, but
yeah,
Well,
hopefully.
this will be running long enough. Hopefully, we can get him in here for part 2. So,
So it follows that you don't have an.
And that completes the Darth Dawkins disgruntification analyzer moment of the day. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so because that is not an argument, you're just saying that it's silly, but is it grounded in something or is it arbitrary? Like, do you have reason to believe it's silly, or is
the point
it?
is that they didn't get it from anywhere. The point is that they just imagined this out of the top of their head, and there's no reason for me. Hey, I thought, look, if you're an atheist, kitchen's razor, right?
Well, I'm not an atheist, but you said they just imagine it. Do you have an argument for it, or are you just saying they imagine it?
Yeah. Look, because they
That's
have no
how it works in
basis. Look,
conversation.
if they agree, look, if what they hold to be fundamental and ultimate, okay, has with respect to its necessary property set, the same properties as the Christian God, then they have no basis to reject the biblical revelation that's been revealed. Okay, so if they believe in the God that's always truth revealing, that is triune, that is necessary, okay, that has all these property sets, then they have no basis by which they can reject the Bible. They're just arbitrarily doing that, and that's how you know someone's a crackpot. That's how you differentiate between a Christian and a crackpot.
how I differentiate between a Christian and a crackpot is the Christian that has adopted a presuppositional apologetic that tells anyone that disagrees with them that they don't have any rationalization to believe anything or establish anything or make any kind of sizable claims. They can really have no real hold on rationality, and then tell you, now hang on and listen to me rationally explain this to you step by step, and you'd better get it.
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell the difference between a crackpot and between Darth Dawkins and J. Robbins. I can't tell the difference myself.
Yeah, especially since the only thing that you're supposed to do is just like the Jesus doesn't save you from sin. Agreeing with this presuppositional apologetic does.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're saying. Yeah.
What's interesting too is that Darth Dawkins, I was listening to talk to somebody about it. I think it was one of Skylar's streams, caught a bit of it around lunchtime, and he's talking about people being a part of the sacerdotal system. You know, they're in the Catholic system or they're in the Eastern Orthodox system, and it's like, okay, but what are you establishing here? There's only one biblical apologetic that he believes in, and that's the presuppositional one. And apparently, if your mind's not lined up with that, then you are some kind of heretic or backslidden if you're a believer. If you disagree with it completely, and you're obviously, if you're an atheist, then you're doomed to hell. But to listen to him go after Smokey yesterday, Smokey might as well just be a heathen. I mean, he might as well be. Yeah, I mean, he might as well worship Thor.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now, what do you think? Like, what do you think would What do you think Christianity would be like if these guys actually all came together, the Catholics and all these different doctrines, and really created some sort of a coherent religion? How strong the religion would be, like the difference it would be compared to what it is like today, and how these guys just fight over everything.
And you figure that, I mean, because
Right.
one of the things that I'm usually asked, well, like if somebody asked people, like, what's, and I was asked this on a Discord thing over the weekend, early afternoon, I jumped into one and somebody was like, well, give us your reasons. Why don't you think there's a God, or why do you disagree with Christianity? I'm like, well, there's a lot of reasons. Biggest problem I've got is with problems with religious language, problems with suffering and evil. Those kinds of arguments. Kind of went on, and they had a problem with it. But I'm like, look, if you wanted evidence, to me, if you want evidence for, that contradicts or backs up, the antithesis of your claims. This idea that you guys are all being led by the Spirit doesn't seem to track when there's so many different groups of you and so many
Yeah.
of you. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
how many blow up arguments? I mean, and Darth and Smokey are kind of special creatures even amongst their fellow brethren, but how many of those even much more muted and much more temperate do you have to see before you're just like, wait, I don't like, are you guys are literally fighting over something that you can't substantiate one way or the other.
Right. Yeah. And
It's,
you, like, I mean, like I said, if they're supposed to be bringing other people to Christ, right? That's kind of part of it, right? If you're so, you would think that they would want to reunite and get together and make it stronger for that purpose. I mean, how much would that help them, right? You
yeah.
would think that would be a focus, but it's not. They don't try to come together as a group.
Yeah, the closest you get, and I think it's kind of funny. The closest you ever see them get is if you hear them kind of like, you hear them kind of beating up on each other, and then some atheists show up, and then you hear that, hey, not around the heathens, guys.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
United front. This is
Yep.
this is inside baseball. They don't need to see this kind of shit.
Yep.
We'll take care of this on the back end. It's the business is running fine. Don't worry about people trying to kill each other over how bad the books are cooked, in the back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, basically a lot of these discussions, as they've migrated onto social media, it's just pushed all this stuff. It's made it a lot more transparent. And that one of the biggest problems, I mean, the Protestants know this better than than probably any other group, especially in Christianity. They forced transparency onto the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
They wanted a Bible that was translated into a language that everybody could read, and they wanted to get rid of this whole sacerdotal hierarchical system. They wanted to simplify it and make it available more or less to the everyman. And then they struggled afterward to try to hold things together. It's like, you can't let the genie out of the bottle. The reason that it worked before was because it had this veneer of tradition and hierarchy and authority and all that kind of stuff. And Protestants blew that up. And now they seem to want to they want to try to claim a little bit of that, in spite of what they've done. It's like, you can't. You're going to get more transparency, not less. And the more transparent you get, the harder it is to hold on to it. I think that's really why they're dying. I mean, Protestantism has kind of helped kill it. And then you factor into that, if you have the holdouts in the traditional system just because of cultural inertia or whatever, you start getting crisis of legitimacy when you have things like an entire culture of sexual abuse amongst the clergy.
Yeah.
That the administration then just covers up. So then people are like, well, there's no point in this one. This one was the established hierarchical traditional one. I guess I could leave them and go check out a Pentecostal church or some, former Jesus freaks or something like that. And then they're Catholic, so they go there and they're like, wait, I have to, I've actually talked to Catholics that are like that. They show up at some of these like Presbyterian or Protestant churches and they're like, oh wait, I have to give a shit. You know what I mean? As a Catholic, you just check in, you attend mass, you go through the whole, it's just part of the tradition, whether you feel it or not. It's like, you didn't feel great, but you put your time in at the gym kind of thing. It's soul hygiene. And if they get into the wrong Protestant church, they're like, well, aren't you excited about God? And I never have been before. Is that a problem? I'm a confirmed Catholic. So
I grew up in the North, so, I don't have the experience, and I've never been religious. I've been an atheist my whole life, so I don't know very much, as far as any biblical stuff. Is just basically what I've learned through basically on here. So I don't have the experience of the Southern Baptists, which are, obviously quite different from Catholics, right? And a lot of these Southern churches. So it's, I know very little of that.
Yeah.
So,
and I didn't come up with any of those either, but I was the church that my parents were involved in their 20s when I was just a little kid was sort of a charismatic, non-denominational thing. And then as I got a little older, that church kind of blew up. And then they got involved in it was a Wesleyan Methodist kind of thing. They're the Nazarenes. And so that's part of kind of the holiness movement kind of stuff. Yeah. It's not a huge denomination in the U.S., but it's kind of big. Methodists were I think more common. And that was they were really conservative church culture, totally different than the one that we'd been used to. And then a hit or miss, there were some other churches that I attended. So, but like the closest I ever got to anything, that conservative one was probably the closest I'd gotten to some of the really like hardcore, like, you couldn't play cards with that church.
Yeah.
You couldn't even play solitaire. Like that was forbidden. Dancing was forbidden.
Wow.
Yeah, people shouldn't even be watching TV unless it's the news, and even if it's the news, not the 11 o'clock, because if you're up that late, you're probably drinking alcohol, which is forbidden, or you're touching your genitals, which is forbidden. So
Yep. Wow.
All right, play that.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Christian versus Crackpot. When they're coming up with revelation on the top of their head. Okay?
By the way, we have a very special guest visitor who'd like to pop in for a moment. It is the world famous German psychiatrist, Dr. Sir Hermann Munster, who would like to offer his psychiatric analysis of our guest here, XP. Go ahead, Dr. Psychiatrist Hermann Munster. What is your evaluation of XP?
You can't be too careful these days. There are a lot of strange people in this world.
Thank you, Dr. Psychiatrist Hermann Munster.
XP, because
I don't know what the point of that was. Like, I mean, I think he's putting a soundboard together. So I think he's starting with his favorites. And
yes. He loves Herman Munster. He loves the Munsters. He uses the song. He just did it the other day. He played the whole song. He was talking on Tangelo, and he said, "Oh, this is just in. There's going to be a new atheist show." And he did this whole spiel about, it was all made up, but he was saying that it was an atheist show that's coming on the air, and I've got the inside scoop, and this is what their opening theme song is going to be. And he plays the Munsters song, and it's like, and that's so old that 90% of the people that are watching this don't get that. Like, but he must love that show for some reason.
Yeah, he must. Now that you mention it, I think he did. I think I have heard him play the theme.
Yeah, and he's done it before. He just did it, I think, just a few days ago, and he's done it in the past many times. So he's got a thing for that show for sure.
I love how he keeps interrupting Jay Robbins' conversations. Yeah, I've noticed that, Paul. I've noticed that he likes to he just and I think Jay Robbins probably doctrinally probably the most consistent so far. I mean, I haven't heard anything from Jay Robin that seems to deviate too far off the Darth Dawkins course. So
yeah.
All right.
We're talking about two entities with the same attributes, then we're talking about the same entity. Okay. So in the same sense, if they affirm that what is fundamental is a mind, and that it is always truth revealing, and that it has all great making properties, right? Then they're talking about the Christian God, because only the Christian God has all these property sets. Okay. And
that's
then
convenient.
So then if they want to assert that, then they're going to need to then if they're going to try to come forward with some revelation, it's going to need to be biblically supported, because the Bible is the revelation of this God that we were talking about, which is the Christian God.
Yeah, but you presuppose that.
And I love this. These guys will do this. Like that. Even that's not connected, right? Like it's almost like one of these like Kalam arguments. If I granted you that the Kalam is convincing to me, then I believe that there's a cause, or there's a causer or whatever. I've got a deity in mind. But now you got to try to connect that one with the Bible. And as far as I know, no one's been able to do that.
Right, you can't.
just try to say like, well, if you think about the definitions, if you go back to my bullshit ontological argument, and if you match that up with verses A, B, C, D through X to Z, then you'll see that it's a 1-to-1 correlation. You're like, no,
not quite.
It's like, what also I can do, I can show you the back of this Denny's placemat where I've sketched out in crayon the order and origin of the universe. Do you believe that? No?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I think we're on the same page.
The words that Yahweh said about himself are true. Like, it's not like we can objectively determine
what you don't understand is this, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We accept what he says about himself, okay, because he has the characteristics of the only God where the world can make sense. In order for this world to make sense, God has to have all great making properties, okay? And only the God of the Bible possesses that. So Yahweh's testimony about himself throughout the Christian scriptures are self-attesting and self-authenticating. Now, if you reject Yahweh's self-identity claims, then I want to know, by what authority do you reject the self-attesting claims of Yahweh?
This is an easy question, folks, and I don't want to sound too if somebody wants to push back on this, please do. But this is one of those things where I feel kind of confident in saying this. If he's asking, well, by what authority are you going to push back on the self-attesting nature or whatever? How did he put a self-attesting nature of God or whatever? It's authority. You can use the authority that it used, right? So one of the properties that Darth, just as an example, Darth loves to say this: if special revelation means a damn thing at all, and it's supposed to, it's direct communication from God. And there's stories that show and demonstrate aspects of God's nature and his properties that doesn't match up with what Darth's saying. So one of the things that is necessarily entailed by his definition is that this is an ultimate being, and he said this, cannot change, because an ultimate being could not get worse and is perfect, right? It has all great making properties, which means it's got all the perfections. So it can't get better and it can't get worse. It's immutable, right? And if it's immutable, but this God does change. It changes not only its mind occasionally, which is evidenced by 2 different accounts in Exodus, when Moses talks Yahweh out of snuffing out the Israelites and starting over with a different group, but God changes as soon as Jesus comes on board. Now, Trinitarians will tell you that's not actually the case. That's not how it works. The Trinity was always thus, and Jesus was always around.
Yeah.
However, if you depending on which kind of Christian groups you're going with and some of the traditions and arguments they add, the idea that when God became flesh and experienced life as a man, that was a way of reconciling himself unto his own creation. That is, I can't remember what that point, if that particular concept has a theological name to it, but at least it used to be kind of influential in some small groups. But
yeah. If I had $1 for every time Darth says, you don't understand, you don't understand, listen carefully. If I had $1 for that, every time he said that, I'd be loaded. and the funny thing is like all the PhDs that he's talked to, right? You've seen those over the past several months, right? Lawrence Krauss, Graham Oppie, and all of them, all these guys. And after Darth leaves, they all would talk to Canadian Cat. They were all pretty much on Canadian Catholic's channel or whatever his Discord or whatever he was doing it on. And they all said, they couldn't understand his questions were so convoluted and there was so much to it that you just couldn't answer them. It's funny, but you don't understand. You don't. Yeah, of course, because nobody can understand you. Not even these PhDs that you talk to, none of them can.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But he doesn't seem to mention that every time when he's done with the PhDs, is that he made them run. How does he describe it? Yeah. It's like they couldn't answer his circumspect questions, and yeah. Okay.
Well, it's always interesting that it's both things happen, right? They withered away.
Yeah.
Under his just godly interrogation. However, also he was treated horribly by them and Canadian Catholic, who ran out the clock and overtalked them and muted him and all this other. Yeah, it's interesting that he can literally have it both ways. Oh yeah, clearly I beat him. Or like, okay, so which one is it? You won, or you would have won had they played fair? Because that's what your argument was like a day ago.
Right. Yep.
And now you've changed it to like, well, have you seen me talk to the AAA talent?
Yeah.
I've kicked their asses right up over their heads. They don't stand a chance against Darthy Poo. Like, no, I don't think. It's funny because like a couple of weeks ago, that was not your issue. Your issue was why? How come Canadian Catholic doesn't give me more time to talk than, PhD person over here? Like, why do you think, dingbat? That's the PhD person. What did you think?
Oh shit! Yeah.
That consistently is, that for me is like one of the most entertaining things about Darth. He's just like I'm every bit as influential and as interesting as any of these guys. So I deserve at least 50, at least equal time, if not more.
I mean, come on! I'm a YouTube star. I mean, Darth is a YouTube star. He's got the credentials.
Yeah, who's this Pigliucky guy? I don't know who that guy is. Like, who
the fuck is he?
Well, you went and got a degree
two
or
PhDs. He's got 2 PhDs.
Yeah, that's saying something. Yeah, but you know what they say. At once you get the first PhD, the other ones just rolling right off. Yeah,
no problem. Yeah. Holy shit! This is what makes it entertaining for us, right?
Yeah.
Well, for me, I'm not saying he's not, so I don't have an argument.
Okay, whoa. Do you accept the self-identity claims of the God of the Bible that are constituted between Genesis and Revelation of the Bible? Do you accept and affirm them?
I sorry to pause it again. To that answer, I'd be like, no, because that theological claim that there's a consistent attestation of God between the book of Genesis and the book of Revelation is a false one. Like, it might be okay depending on what your theology is and how you want to harmonize all those books. But if you're in any way a biblical scholar, saying something like that is kind of risky. Like, even if you're a believer, I don't know that. I'd be interested to know if anybody does know this, if somebody like Michael Heiser has ever said anything like that. Because Heiser's kind of an apologist, but he also has pretty good pedigree as far as like his Old Testament studies. I don't know where he's at as far as like New Testament studies, but I'd be interested to hear if somebody like him would make a claim like that.
Yeah, this is what makes you, you so great at what you're doing here is you can analyze this stuff incredible, and I definitely give you all the credit here, and that's what brings the big draw here, is because you do an incredible job of analyzing it and putting the biblical touch on it and the real understanding of it, and so you do a fantastic job with it.
Yeah, I try. Christian theology and any, like, I have my own exposure to it, and so I can kind of draw on some of that. But some of these guys, like Darth, like Smokey Saint and Praise, and some of these guys, like where they're coming from with some of their theological stuff, I'm not always confident as to what they're reading. So that's sort of step 3 for me. It's like I tried to do my own study of the New Testament. I did a fair, I got a textbook, did the readings, kind of went through that. Old Testament I'm currently kind of working on now, but my reading lately hasn't been great. But the third one is to do like a textbook on Christian theology and see what I glean from that. Because mostly because like with some of these guys, they're kind of putting this thing forward. And actually, I've been talking way too long. Thanks for your compliments. I should have said that right off the bat. Thank you for your compliments. But the theology stuff that these guys get into, they'll kind of couch that as if that's as important, if not more important, than philosophy. There was somebody saying this to Pine Creek, and it was who was it? I can't remember who it was. I think they were talking about Doug from Pine Creek and saying, well, you haven't studied the theology, so you just don't know. And I think, Doug's retort was like, well, why should I? Yeah. What would motivate me to do that? Like and Doug's pretty honest. He's like, I'm not even motivated to get that deep into the philosophy aspect of it. I'm just dealing with the claims as best I can from kind of a common sense approach. Yeah. And so, but I've been noticing more and more because Gavin and Praise and Smokey and Jesus the Lord have all accused me of that. Like if I bring up something from an Old Testament scholar or a New Testament scholar about not about how the passage is theologically interpreted, but by how what the genre of the work was or what the passage is supposed to mean, they just if they think that what I'm bringing that up to overturn some set theology, they flip out.
Yeah.
And it's like that's a problem for them. It's like if you have a theology that flies in the face of facts, and some of those facts are being supported and researched by other believers, but you can't accept them because you've got a game plan or something. That's to me that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Me personally, no. I don't.
Then that is a de facto denial. So, by what authority do you not accept Yahweh's self-identity claims, including Jesus Christ's self-identity claims? By what authority do you reject them? Because if you don't accept them, you are rejecting and denying them.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, it's just my own personal theistic worldview.
Good. So you're a megalomaniac.
What do you mean megalomaniac? That's gobbledygook.
You've never heard of the term megalomaniac?
No, it sounds like gobbledygook. Can you please clarify?
Well, no. How old are you?
I don't think that really matters. Can you please clarify, please?
It does matter, because maybe if you're a teenager, you don't have.
Stephanie Trenton, to your thing, it's not that he is not a solid wall. He has not actually provided an argument that holds up past the just generally bringing up the idea of special pleading and begging the question is enough to knock the basic foundation of his argument kind of off its rocker. The fact that he is belligerent about sticking to that, that's what might make him a solid wall. But his attitude, and ask yourself this, Stephanie, if he gets this upset and this triggered, not only by atheists, because he likes to say that that's what really bothers him. It's the dishonesty and the deceitfulness of skeptics and atheists. He hates that, and that's what really triggers him. And he goes from assertive to angry and hostile sometimes. We just watched him do this with Christians, just in a stream last night. If he's that easily angered by this stuff, that tells me that he's not confident in what he's talking about.
Yeah.
If he was confident in his arguments, if he was confident in his faith, I don't think he would. Then the emotional, to me, what should be grounding that it should be an emotion of he should have a peace of mind, but he's clearly not at peace with this because he's constantly online fucking with people over it, and not just atheists. He's fucking with other Christians.
Yeah,
this is not about his faith.
I've noticed. I mean, I think I mentioned this to you before. Like, I mean, if you look at old Darth stuff, right? It's all of YouTube, right? You can see some stuff that goes way back to Google Meet or Google Talks or whatever. Some of the old ones, Pal Talks and that stuff. And you've seen him, change his argument slightly, and you can see a lot of contradictions in the things that he says. He said completely different things back then compared to what he has now. So he's adjusted his arguments over the past several years, right? But now, if you notice, is that he's constantly going to the age thing. Does he almost every argument that he has with at least atheists, not so much the Christians, but with any atheists, he goes to the age thing every single time. And then the other ad hominems, he'll go after, whatever else. He's always got to go after those attacks. And to me, that's a sign of, like what you just said, that he may not be as confident with his arguments as he was in the past, possibly, Yeah. I think he's going downhill myself.
Yeah. That's an interesting point, because it makes me wonder if maybe he's heard some things that have shook his faith.
That could be, yeah.
More than just like, I've had to adjust here and there, or tighten up this argument because it was vulnerable. Maybe he's heard some stuff where it's like, he's not. I mean, I don't want to psychologize too much, but but he does seem like that. And to some of it is just sort of he's self-conditioned himself psychologically to blow up like this at people. Yeah. But the fact that he's not doing a good job of checking himself even with other Christians, and he's sort of fostering that behavior in other Christians, means that it's now he doesn't have to reinforce it in himself. He's got other people that are coming up behind him. They're going to reinforce it with it amongst themselves and feedback onto him. So
Yeah.
Eventually, these guys. I mean, as far as I can tell, this stuff is just going to burn people out, because it's the kind you can't browbeat somebody into an apologetic that's this obviously stupid. And I'm saying this from the perspective of an atheist, but I'm actually saying something very similar to what Smokey said on a video earlier today that he posted. Or maybe it was last night when he did it. It doesn't work. It doesn't make any common sense. It's obviously contradictory. And when somebody like Darth Dawkins tries to cling to it and then try to get angry, like, you're too stupid to realize you're too stupid, like, that's not going to win anyone over, pal. Like, you haven't explained to them why, their basic idea is like, what you told me sounds like nonsense. And your reaction is, no, you're nonsense, fucker. Like, all right, congratulations. You've actually talked somebody out of Christianity.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this community as a whole, like all the Christians in the community, all the dumb ones love Darth. They just love, oh my God, his arguments are bulletproof, and they all love him, all the dumb ones. But any of the Christians online in this community that have a half a brain can't stand Darth.
Right.
So you look at it that way. What does that tell you? It tells you something.
Yep. And for some people, I wouldn't even put it past them. Like, I wouldn't be like, I know the ones that you're referring to, because they're repeatedly, not only are they going to bat or saying, hey, I like him, but they're consciously adopting his method. But there are other people, like just Stephanie Tretton here in the chat is like, well, no, I think this is what makes you mad about him. But there are other people that go out there, they're not going to try to copy his technique, but they're like, I think he's a solid debater. I think that he's very accurate in his word choices and stuff. And it's like, I honestly think when I hear that, it's like, look, and maybe it's just the way he speaks and everything, he sounds self-assured. But at the moment he loses it, the moment he gets that pissed off, which happens way too often, and this is coming from me, someone who, when I started on YouTube, I used to get pissed off quite a bit. Alcohol didn't help either, but I mean, not raging atheist pissed off, but I could get kind of screamy, mostly at Von Helton because he's an idiot. But if you see that kind of thing happening often enough, it's just like, okay, you should have to go back and redo your assessments. Like, okay, this guy's he's not a debate genius. He doesn't have some grand string theory holding all of Christian religion together or anything like that. He just more and more seems like this is an older guy who's found an argument that he gets, that he can sort of argue backward and forward, and he'll be damned if he's going to let somebody say that it's inconsistent or contradictory or fallacious. That's really what pisses him off, because as soon as you say it's fallacious, that's when he gets triggered. Like, oh yeah, how do you know anything? At that point, he really does sound as dumb as Antonio, because Antonio will do that. He'll have a conversation with, like, you could debate taxes with Antonio. As soon as he realizes that you're an atheist, he'll be like, well, how can you even know anything? Like, really, we're talking about taxes, not not Jesus, pal. Like, I experience taxes the same way as you, right? Like, no, in my world, everything is paid for with hugs and kisses. Like, I don't know, like. My reality features Care Bears and stuff. They take care of my finances for me. But Antonio, that's a special project.
Have a sufficiently developed vocabulary. Now, being that I'm sick.
Oh boy, the vocabulary. Here we go. Peter, welcome.
I was just typing, how do you know someone's backstage?
How do I know someone's backstage?
Yeah, you said, how do you know anything? And I was sitting here and thinking,
you were going to type
how does he know I'm backstage?
Yeah.
Did you pop in a couple minutes ago? Because I just saw you come up now.
Yeah, a minute or 5. When I typed in Discord, I'm a bit stupid, and you came prematurely.
No, I heard it. Oh, I know what happened. Never mind. I know what happened.
Yeah.
I went over to Discord because I saw that was a message. I thought it was from you. When I came back here, the screens were all working. I heard a pop like you had popped in, but you weren't visible. That's my fault. I should have scrolled the screen. Discord, when you go from for whatever reason with my computer, if I go from Discord back to my browsers, some stuff is missing from the screen. So that's my
but I think something else went wrong because see, you said 6 Eastern and I said 6 Central. That's where the mistake is.
Yeah. No.
So I thought I was in time because I was being entirely stupid making something that I've already made. But it took me a lot of time.
That's right, because it would be 6 Central right now. Yeah, almost. Yeah.
Yep. So you're not late. You're early.
Yeah.
For you.
I'm 20 minutes early.
Yeah.
No, you're 40 minutes late.
Yeah. We've been killing time here waiting for you, Peter.
Yeah.
Gur, put this up there for you.
Yeah. From the guy who doesn't know how to set up a stream, plays 2 songs and ends it. I mean, everyone mad in the side chat. I need to keep the guy that is active in his comment section happy all night until I think this afternoon my time. But you can go back to his latest stream and check the comment section.
Who was this?
I have no clue.
Oh,
but I was messing with Germania, and I think he thought that I was serious, and he typed in a weird message, so I typed a weird message back.
You got to quit doing stuff like that.
So you just kept me awake.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's pretty late for you, right? Like it's about midnight, right?
Yeah, and so what day is it for you? Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
For
yeah.
Me, for me, it's still Monday.
Wait a minute.
Very late on Monday.
No, you're not that far off, right?
Well, for the rest of my country, it's Wednesday, but I haven't slept, so still Monday.
All right. Here we go. We're gonna play through this. We're a long way on this one, so
enough nonsense, right?
Well, I mean,
we're switching different nonsense.
Yeah, we're switching to a different,
nonsense.
The channel's brand of nonsense. Here we go.
2 years old. This is a word that I heard many years ago. Now, are you a teenager?
No, I'm not. But I'm not saying my exact age.
Okay, then I guess you don't have quite an adept vocabulary. A megalomaniac is somebody who has delusions of grandeur about themselves and their own identity. So you believe that you have the ability to adjudicate what the nature of reality is all by yourself. Okay, yeah, please. Okay, I'll trigger. Okay, notice we had a drive-by there. Okay, this is what they're left with because they cannot intelligently stand against the revelation of God. Now, the point is this, XP. You have decided for yourself that your powers of cognition and reason, unaided and underived from the God of the Bible, are fit to determine what the true nature of reality is and to conclude that the message and the identity claims of the God of the Bible are not what they claim to be. So that would make you a megalomaniac.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you define God exactly the way that Darth Dawkins does, and it just happens to be completely accurate, and someone has a problem with that definition of it, you're not disagreeing with Darth Dawkins. You are defying the will of God Almighty, and that makes you a megalomaniac. Who says you're greater than God, huh? Like, that is a pathetic, just shit-headed way of thinking about and approaching anything. That's dumb. Like, this guy, did this guy go to some kind of boot camp to teach people how to be orthodox assholes about everything? Like, if this guy was in charge of mainstream Christianity, he'd probably end up creating some kind of civil war from the people that rebelled from it. Yeah, he's nuts. Sorry.
Yeah. He thinks he's God. I think that's his problem.
Well, I think, yeah, he acts like he thinks he's a prophet or something.
Like yes. So
I see that Otangelo is in the live chat as well.
Yeah,
so.
Otangelo's in the live chat. I've listened to a few things. I found it hilarious that he's back with the guy who will tell him who he can and cannot talk to. I mean, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, he's not supposed to be associating with us.
No.
Well, I heard Darth congratulating him that he's finally seen the light on with regards specifically to J.L. Warren and these other atheist scumbags that he needs to stay away from, and yet Otangelo can't quit me. He can't quit this channel. It's good exposure.
Oh, I watched Sidney Winston earlier today.
Yeah,
and he did a whole thing on Otangelo, pretty much, and he touched on some good points.
I saw that come through. I saw the notification come through. I was busy trying to balance work with an electrician came over to my place and was trying to fix a few things. So yeah, I wanted to watch that, but I'll probably tune into that.
He had J.L. Warren on explaining Darth Dawkins. I think he missed literally nothing. It was the best description of Darth Dawkins that I've ever heard. So I can see why Darth might not be happy with him.
Yeah, Darth hates him some Sidney. Hates him.
Yeah. No, J.L. Warren.
Yeah, both though.
Oh, yeah.
Both. Yeah, both.
And I don't know why, J.L. Warren and Darth Dawkins haven't had an actual debate, have they? Like an MDD debate?
Yes. As a matter of fact, he mentioned that he had talked to Darth, but no one recorded it.
Okay.
So that was offline.
Oh, that's right. Because he's done it. I've seen him do a couple of different videos where he's talked about having conversations with them. That's right.
Yeah.
He did kind of a debunking video, and then and I saw him once. He was a guest on, I can't remember that guy's name, but it was on the Tang or Tart thing, and he was talking about his conversation. Yeah. All right, let's jump back into this.
So it's not gobbledygook. Why don't you see? There's a brand new invention called the interweb. Why don't you look up the word megalomaniac? Okay.
I'll look into that.
If you look it up on the interweb, there's a picture of Darth.
I think, Peter, you need to make more images of Darth.
No, I frequently look for pictures, so I type something in and then go to images. And when you type in megalomaniac and then go to images, the first one to pop up is Darth. That's not true, but I wish it was. Yeah, it should be.
See what you can do to get that to happen with Google. Granted, if you can get it to happen from your location in the Netherlands, it wouldn't necessarily happen here, but it's worth a try.
I might even be able to make that happen. Just say
you decided that you can determine what the nature of reality is, thereby providing a framework to interpret facts apart from acknowledging and your hold on a second, I got to trigger this. There we go. You have to mute the drive-by troll. Do you believe that you have the capacity to make a determination as to what the grand scope of things are, thereby providing a filter to interpret facts apart from God's origin, God's help?
No, but it wouldn't matter if you could or couldn't, right? Like, if you've got a God that basically does understand the grand scope, because it is the grand scope, you can't hope to understand what the grand scope is, because even if it told you what it was, you wouldn't be able to comprehend it all. So you just have to take it on faith. I don't know why Darth Dawkins runs with this. It's stupid. It's a basic problem it's a basic problem with omniscience, right? Like, if somebody came to you and said they were omniscient, there's no way that you could verify it until you heard them get something wrong. The funny thing is, though, the more things they get right, the worse it potentially gets. Because just because they're always getting things right for you doesn't mean they're going to always they know everything. And they might know things that you're not capable of being able to evaluate that are right or wrong in the first place. So
they might have a friend. Actually, that happened to on Raw. That's going to be a topic on one of my shows.
Oh,
but the sad thing is that with this entire argument, Darth argues as if God exists. He asks his interlocutors, how can you know anything if your facts aren't grounded in God? if God doesn't exist, they're not grounded in God. Not
Right.
for me and not for you. And sadly, the one thing Darth won't do is provide evidence that his God actually exists. He will have arguments that he is necessary. Okay, if he's necessary, then he should exist, and it should be easy for you to point out that he exists. So,
Yeah.
He's going backwards with this, and then blaming other people that they don't have the answer. You're the guy who's proposing a God, so you should be the guy who has evidence, who can actually provide that evidence.
Well, the thing is, I mean, the evidence that he claims to have is just the kind of stuff that can be, because there's evidence. It's not strong evidence. It's not convincing. It's the kind of evidence that can be, that he would not accept, right? If I said that no, non-belief is actually more rational because look at all these atheists that I can show you. Atheists are evidence that the non-belief in gods, or the belief that there are no gods, is supported by that. But he would just say, no, that's a bandwagon fallacy, and so I'm not going to accept that.
Yep.
But one of the best sources of evidence for the truth of Christianity is that there are so many Christians.
Yeah.
So, and if he tries to say, well, it's a volume thing, well, then it's like you are literally embracing the fallacy at that point. And who knows, for his standard, he might do that. He might be that transparently awful. Here we go.
Oh, no, apart from God's help, absolutely not.
Talking about from the God of the Bible.
Yes, but not from God, just not from the God of the Bible.
Oh, okay. Then which God is this?
It's, I don't have a name for it, if I'm going to be honest with you. There's not a name.
What are your God's attributes?
That it's eternal.
And where did you get that from? Where did you get that from?
I find this kind of weird because God isn't a name.
No, only to Christians.
But even then, it's like your God has a name at this point, thanks to the New Testament. Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah. Before that, amongst the Jews, it's Yahweh. With this idea of like, what's your God's name?
And literally
you could just call him God.
Yeah, literally the only ones who will argue that you need to capitalize the word God are the Christians. And that's why I will never do that, because I don't see that's a title. That's a description.
Yeah. It's
the guy has a name
of sorts.
Yeah. If you go to Darth and you say it's a God is a category, he'll explode. If that would mean that there are multiple gods, he can't have that.
Yeah. So somebody in your chat has mentioned Backcountry was asking, hasn't Darth said that God has talked to him? And no, as far as I know, he's never said that, because that would definitely put him in the schizophrenic category, and he would never say that. Yeah. No, it's revelation. It's not.
Put him there or confirm it.
Yeah, but he would never say that.
Thanks to this, I was listening to this one on my way back. I was out of town for the weekend, but on my way back, coming back home, I was listening to this in the car, and I had an epiphany, and I think I now realize, and he actually backed it up because he was in a conversation with, I don't know if it was when he was screaming at Nephilim or if he was screaming at Smokey. Probably Smokey, but he said something there that kind of backed it up, and it was about, because if you ask him what revelation is, he doesn't tell you.
Right. Yeah.
And exactly. I know what revelation is. It's subjective experience.
Yeah.
The fact that that's all he's doing is he's just equating subjective experience with revelation and saying the only reason that you have subjective experience is because God allows it.
Yeah.
Well, and Darth's revelation is circular, because he will tell you that he's got revelation from the Bible, a special revelation, and that he's got natural revelation from creation. Yeah. But the only way he knows about creation is from the Bible, because trees don't come with a label made by God 4000 BC.
Well, no, the problem's worse than that, because both of those he's even said this. He stated this to somebody, that the only way that he was aware of the revelation of Jesus and that aspect of the Trinity was by reading the prophets in the Old Testament. So his capacity to be exposed to revelation was directly through his senses. So the only way he is able to actually, so he can't keep this straight in his head. He is not presupposing God. He is concluding or inferring God from his sensory experience. He's then claiming that his sensory experience is necessary because of God. So it is just literally begging the question. The only reason he has the capacity to comprehend nature as something that God makes and an effect that he can, infer God, from, or the special revelation, which gives him direct messages about God from God, is because of his sensory experience. And how does he know he can believe his sensory experience? Well, because God.
No, because he literally presupposes his senses.
Well, we all do.
Yes,
but that's not
we
what he.
have
But
to.
that's he's presuppose. He doesn't presuppose it. He's violating that presupposition. He's saying it's grounded in God, so it's no longer.
I know, but
he's blowing it up.
But in reality, he is still presupposing his senses, because that's how he got his information.
Right.
That's how he could be aware of any revelation.
Right.
Even if God would directly talk to him, he would need to rely on his senses to
but
know that someone's talking.
He will not argue the circularity of it. Like he's actually admitted that it is circular, but he will not recognize begging the question. No, he will not.
No.
And like somebody just wrote in the chat, I just saw that he will recognize others. Benghazi, he'll recognize other people begging the question, but not himself.
And I've actually seen him get that wrong. He tries to attribute it to him. It's like that. No, you weren't begging the question.
Yeah. So.
Would I get? I don't. I guess I just have to. I believe that I'm predetermined to know the truth of it.
I didn't ask you what you believe. I asked you, where did you get it from?
This is good.
That is just. How can I say it? That I've been predetermined to know that. I don't know how else to answer. I'm trying to answer honestly.
Is English your first language?
Yes.
Okay. You're clearly fumbling with your words here. Where did you get that your God has certain attributes? Where'd you get that from?
I got that knowledge from God, that I was created.
No. So you got it. Did you personally receive this individually by yourself, to the exclusion of others? Were you the recipient of the special communications?
This is so weird. Gurmani, he asked me, precept is begging the question by definition. Would you agree? I don't know if it depends on the definition of the presuppositional apologetic you're referring to. When I first started getting into precept or started hearing it, it was used as a way of knocking down an atheist's claims about good and evil. That you couldn't make claims about things like good and evil because you were appealing to some kind of absolute, and the only way that those absolutes would work is if they entailed an absolute creator. And so they did this weird kind of, it was a little bit more akin to a transcendental argument for God. And it is still begging the question, but there's also a fallacy of composition built into it. Well, mostly the fallacy of composition. It doesn't follow that just because a thing is absolute, it blows up contingency too. If something's absolute, it shouldn't be contingent. And yet these things were contingent on a being which is also absolute, as it necessarily has to be in order to create other absolute things. That all of that was fallacious. And that was sort of the first version of precept that I found. Darth Dawkins stuff is mostly a modal ontological argument with precept kind of shoehorned into it. It's not the class. It's not the first two classical arguments, ontological arguments from Anselm. It's more like the modal one, where you're talking about a God is either logically impossible or absolutely it's a necessary being. And he obviously believes it's a necessary being. So if you look up the ontological argument, the modal version of it, and kind of study that, you'll see most of what Darth Dawkins is peddling on people. And that one's a little bit more complicated. That one from the jump, I don't think is necessarily begging the question, but some of the stuff that Darth is doing with his precept tacked on to his ontological argument definitely is begging the question.
Yeah.
Hopefully that wasn't too pedantic or rambly. So. Okay, here we go.
But I don't know who else received it, but I believe that.
Oh, so so could you tell me how and when and where you received this?
It was like last year, and I feel like that. Yeah, not on my own merit. I don't claim it's me. I claim
you received it last.
Yeah, last year, March, like March 13th, March 15th, one of those 2 days. And
and so God came to you.
Well, that's when my predetermined track was predetermined to know the truth of reality to an extent.
Can anybody understand that gobbledygook? What he just said? Do we have any Star Trek universal translators available?
I'm trying to answer because
another pop culture reference. Darth Dawkins he's trying to appeal to the kids. I'm trying to meet you halfway, you hippies.
Yeah. And the thing is, it was his friend that told him about this. It wasn't even him.
Yeah.
So that's the whole confusing part right here. Yeah. And Darth is accusing him that it was him, but it was his friend that told him this. Not him. So,
the abortion guy is the skid mark on Dee Dee's underwear and should be treated as such. I agree with you, Cascade, and I think that he is. He's one of the reasons why people have to be muted so much, because people will treat Antonio like a skid mark. That guy, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Antonio, and if you're listening, Antonio, you need to get laid.
Yeah, that would help.
I just saw a video and saw someone else being used as a skid mark. We'll get to that person a little later, I think.
Oh yes.
I believe that
what you just said made absolutely no sense whatsoever in the English language.
Well, can somebody know something to be true without knowing how they know
what you just
true?
said recently? Now, so you received a message from God, right? Now, where was this? Was it in your home?
Yeah, it was like dreams, visions. But yeah, it was in my home last year.
Oh, so it was in a dream.
Yeah, dreams, visions. And just. Yeah.
Oh, so you got God communicated to you in your dream.
That's what I'm trying to word it correctly. That's what
have you? I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever been diagnosed with a mental disorder?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Oh. Do you take any psychiatric medicines?
No, anyone explained irony to Darth?
Isn't this something like the pointed nature of these questions? Like, when did it happen precisely? Where were you when it happened? What exactly was said? Did you see his face? How tall was he? Does he work out? These are weird questions to ask. And this is the reason why I brought this up before. It's an old point, but if you want to find out how incredulous certain claims are within religion, go into any church. Now, obviously, it depends on what country you're in, but let's say it's the United States, where the majority of people are at least culturally Christian. Go into any church on a Sunday, and if they offer an opportunity for people in the audience to speak and to give a testimony, quote unquote, tell people that you talked to God. Tell them a story about how God personally talked to you, and watch everyone in that congregation get super uncomfortable. They will want you to wrap that shit up quick. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I interrupt just for a second? NW Backcountry asked Benghazi just now, does David have a YouTube channel, or is he only on OnlyFans?
I'm just a fan. No, I don't have no. I'm an only fan. Yep.
It's actually very successful. He's actually, I owe him so much money because he could be doing something so much more lucrative with his time than just slumming on my channel.
And OnlyFans retracted a decision earlier this year just because of David. I have to say that.
Yep.
Keep it.
No one knows.
OnlyFans. I wondered what was going to happen with that. It's like, you don't really have a business model if you go that route. You just become TikTok or Vine.
Yeah. So back to this video, and this is the reason why I asked you to review it. I just said irony. If you listen to the questions that Darth is going to ask this poor guy, those are the questions he should ask himself, and then he would disintegrate. because
I
because
love
he would be worse answering the questions than this guy is.
If Darth does what I suspect, if he just classifies subjective experience as revelation, those kinds of presuppositions are revelation from God, then I'd be like, okay, that's fine. But I'd never heard him explicitly state that. When people ask him about his revelation, how does that work? When did it happen for you? He dodges those. So he's not being honest. So I kind of wonder, like, is he aware that he's conflating like things like subjective experience and the kinds of presuppositions we all have to make in order to just start talking with each other and kind of interacting with the world around us? Or does he not really know? Because he just seems to be like, no, the only reason this stuff works is because God. Like, okay, so when was it revealed to you? Because if you wanted to get into that, then you could start getting into things like, early, childhood development stuff, the development of the brain. I don't think he'd want to talk about that.
Yeah. Well, Darth does a lot of conflating, right? He conflates a lot
I'm
of
biting
things,
my tongue again.
Huge.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with what am I thinking of? Physical laws and natural laws and all that. He conflates different stuff together where it's all it's all the same thing to him.
Yeah.
And he just uses the terms and mixes it all just to confuse people so they have no clue what the hell he's talking about.
No, what he's doing there is defining his God into existence. Because if a descriptive law becomes a prescriptive law, then someone had to prescribe it. And that's where his God comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is why he's doing that. It's not. Yeah, I did bite my tongue when you said, does Darth want to talk about the development of the brain? I think there's a reason he doesn't. But that might just be me.
Yeah, that's just being mean. I mean, come on now. Come on.
Yeah, that's just being mean. But this is the thing. He's so incredibly dishonest. And now he gets this guy who might be really sincere. Something might have happened. He might have had a dream and thought that was God. He might have had a vision. I've met people who told me that they had a vision from God. They're still sincere. They saw something, and they ascribed that to God. And to me, this is Darth just being jealous because here is the great Darth Dawkins, Gary the Great, who knows everything, who knows best what God meant when he wrote the Bible. And God never said anything to him, never visited him, never gave him a nice dream. And then some kid comes around and has an experience that he hasn't.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder about this too. Like, I mean, because Darth doesn't seem like the kind of person that has like a personal testimony, what they would call in Christianity, like an emotional experience. He's just, he kind of got into it from some books he read. And then it's just been kind of following, which is, to me, I think is really kind of interesting. So it's like, maybe that's why this is so important to him, because if you can accept, like, if you accept the idea of this, kind of ontological and presuppositional apologetic, then that can make up for the fact that the Holy Spirit didn't like move you in a way you felt.
Yeah. But think about it, Jefferson. He wouldn't want to go there. He wouldn't want to use a personal experience because you can tear that apart, and he would never go there. Right. So that's why.
And that's kind of telling, because if you're the kind of Christian who thinks that's a weakness, I kind of wonder if maybe this is one of those things where, like, depending on the kinds of groups that he was involved in, this guy would have been, because he's roughly probably around my folks' age. I think he's younger, but a little bit. But he more or less would have been coming up in the Christian faith, probably in and around the 80s. And so if living in the U.S. in the 80s, that was a pretty good time to be, kind of a fundy Christian, because there was a lot of local information and stuff through the churches and stuff. There was always some kind of panic, satanic panic, drugs, all sorts of crap. And you didn't have anything to really make it transparent like the internet. If he was coming up at around that time, I think he would have come up around different groups that had gotten into the whole like the spiritualist side of Christianity, where the most important thing was how you felt about God. And I don't really get that from him. In fact, if anything, I get the idea that he probably is a little bit antagonistic towards Christians who put that like front and center, or have any give that any kind of importance at all. For him, it's not that's for hippies and drug addicts and shit. The important thing is to use your reason, even though you're not supposed to come to the correct conclusions about how God works, and that gets you saved.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I still think.
Oh, go ahead, Peter. Go ahead.
Yeah, I still think you give him far too much credit. I think he's using the Christian religion just to vent and just to be ugly to people, because he won't argue the Christian God, not ever.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, he claims he is.
And Otangelo also doesn't want to argue for the Christian God. They go to some vague description of a God that could be any God.
Yeah.
If you're a Christian and you don't want to argue for your particular God, you're a coward, or you don't believe in him.
Well, there's actually kind of. I wanted to do a video on this because there was a Twitter thing that happened. Theoretical bullshit. Scott Clifton, Mr. Clifton, if you're nasty, he posted a tweet, and it was something like, when you're having a discussion and somebody, a theist says this about their God, and the atheist comes back with the question, which God, right? And he's like, can we retire this kind of this question because it's just lazy, right? And I was surprised at the responses to this, because a lot of people were like pushing back on Scott's tweet, and they're like, no, because of this, no, because of that. And it was going back and forth, and Scott was responding to some of them and arguing about them. And then one of the people to respond is Stephen Law. And Stephen Law put in an excerpt from one of his books. And it's like the first couple of pages of, it comes from like chapter 3 of one of the books that he wrote. And it's this thing about asking which God. But it was actually kind of interesting, because it was sort of like trying to figure out, like, if you're dealing with a believer that's trying to give you like a cumulative argument case for God, where they're trying to pile on a Kalam cosmological argument, a teleological argument, a moral argument, a watchman, all this kind of stuff. We'll just tack all these things in there. He's like, and in that case, if you ask which God, and I think this is important for a lot of atheists, if you ever get into a discussion, if you're going to ask which God, it's more or less ask them which God they're talking about in terms of which argument are they using. Because if they're talking about the God of the Kalam cosmological argument, that's not necessarily the Christian God. If they're talking about a teleological one, that's not necessarily the Christian God. And he's like, and in that sense, there's nothing wrong. I don't think he puts it quite that bluntly, but the impression that I got, like, if that's what you're looking at, like, which God are you talking about in terms of what argument do you think is making the case for the God that you're arguing here? And that's I think important. And so for somebody like Darth Dawkins, he's presenting a different argument for God than someone like Otangelo. Otangelo was trying to do this kind of like basically the best explanation, given the incredible unlikeliness of the just magnitude of probabilities that there's anything here at all.
Right.
And Darth Dawkins is essentially giving a modal ontological God. Yeah.
Well, it's been Tom Rabbittt and Danny have both tried to teach on Tangelo the necessary argument. Whether do you believe God is necessary or not? They tried to explain it all. That went on. That was probably a month or two ago, maybe. They went on and on. That was long conversations, and he just kind of couldn't really grasp it, and he didn't want to go there. But he's been slipping into that a little bit. He's been trying to bring that into his arguments, the necessity of it, but he's still, I think, on tangent. But that was the whole reason why he went to Darth, was to kind of,
I think he
combined them, to combine his arguments, the evidential stuff and the probability, evidential stuff, and he wanted to combine, and with Darth's precept stuff, hoping he would have this grand old unifier of arguments. I think that's what
I think there's another reason.
Yeah. Well,
And
well,
no.
yeah.
Since this is what I actually think. Otangelo is losing his faith. He has a lot riding on that.
That could
He
be
needs
too.
a replacement for his stuff that isn't working, and he's not the first one. Titan Bruggencate had the same thing.
Yeah.
He said, I went on to Google to see if I could find something that I could actually do because I got my ass handed to me in every debate with an atheist.
Yeah.
And that's when he found presuppositional apologetics. And that was easy. You can just say, you have to start that God exists. And you have to presuppose God exists.
Yeah.
There's no atheist that can argue with that because it's a silly claim. It's a claim you can never back up with any evidence.
Right. Yep.
If you believe, then he exists. Yeah. Okay. So what does that do?
Yep.
Yeah.
You can do that with any God.
I want to answer Tyler's question. Has anyone ever inquired as to whether knowing what the absolute quote unquote is even considered a problem in philosophy? I think these precepts just made it up. I think absolute in terms of a lot of like either precept stuff or even like an ontological argument for God. It is kind of fuzzy how it works. Like absolute and things like this do come up in things like metaphysics, but not quite that way. Because metaphysics tends to try to deal with like the sort of the nature of being or whatever, sort of I think an attempt to answer the question, why is there something rather than nothing kind of thing from a real essential standpoint. But like I don't think in any metaphysics that I've ever dealt with that's strictly trying to suss out some kind of explanation would use something like absolute, because the problem with absolute in some cases, and I don't know if there's a lot of philosophers that would agree with us, absolute in the Christian sense means the biggest, the best, the grandest, whatever. It's the it's whatever is there. But the other definition for ultimate is always predicated on a comparison of other things. Ultimate isn't necessarily a static thing. Darth refers to an ultimate as that which cannot be that thing than which nothing can be greater, right? In an ontological sense, it's the greatest of all things. But for other ways of using ultimate, excuse me, ultimate is just the best thing in a particular category, the fastest, the strongest, whatever. So it's not a clear.
I haven't heard Darth name it something that is greater. What I get from every single conversation that I've heard is God is the origin of everything, and that is what makes him the ultimate, I guess.
Yeah,
it's sort of like the last thing or the first.
Yes,
thing,
it's just grounded. I mean, they have to ground. Everything is grounded, right? They have to. Well, that's because
because you can't have infinite regress,
right?
The weird thing about it, though, is that the impetus to call, or the inspiration to call that God ultimate, though, comes from two different things. One, using your sense experience to infer God from what you believe are the facts he created around you, and then knowing that there's these issues of things like a possible infinity that can't be reconciled and those kinds of things, and then just saying, well, all this stuff that's here has a central focus, a central origin, and whatever that origin is, that's God, the ultimate thing, the ultimate being. So it's kind of a strange thing. Like when Darth invokes it, it's the ultimate, it's the grounding of all things. Okay, but you're inferring that from the things that you can experience and the things that you can reason about.
Yep.
His God is a God inferred from facts. He wants to say it's the God that grounds facts. It's the God that makes facts possible. Okay,
right. Yep.
That's not something he can prove. What he's certain about, though, is that all this stuff points to a God. So when you get into that headspace, there's literally nothing that isn't evidence for God.
Yep.
Can I address a comment in the chat?
Sure.
Radar says Peter's right again. Otangelo even said something I think is sad about some emotional, psychological in his past. The problem is he's trying to get better attacking other people. I know what he's talking about. He told me. It's one of the things that I said. He told me that in confidence, so I'm not going to tell anyone, even though we're not on speaking terms at the moment. So, but he told me in confidence there is something, and that's why I think he's afraid to lose his faith, because it means a lot more to him than people might know.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think
he is. You could be right. He might be trying to get better at attacking other people, or dismissing
I think
them.
Otangelo shared that with me on backstage before too, and I think I know what you're talking about. I'll actually ask you once we end it. Maybe I'll ask you if it's the same thing. But yeah, he's brought it up before, and it's understandable, So
Germania, you haven't seen anything yet. It's coming.
Boy.
Next video.
Asked me, do you think it's possible for Darth menu to weaponize Darth's rhetoric without buying into it themselves? Yes, they probably can.
Yeah.
I've heard some of them use it in a way and then get it wrong, like key parts of it.
Otangelo.
Otangelo's attempted to weaponize it, but and I remember a couple discussions I tried to warn him about that. Like, he would try to reconcile it and say, well, you know what? Darth also agrees with some of the things, like he agrees with evidence for God and things like that. Some of the things that I argue for, and it's like, yeah, it's not exactly it. But
it's exactly the opposite. There are several videos where Darth talks to Otangelo and chastises him for being an evidentialist.
Right, because he believes that, and this is sort of a Bonson thing. You are appealing to a skeptic's sense that they can rely on their autonomous reasoning, and then you're laying out things that they can reason toward that God.
According to Darth, and he's right. It is in the Bible. You're not allowed to test God, so you're not allowed to provide evidence for God.
Yeah,
just have to believe. That's what the Bible says.
Where it gets really tricky is when he starts talking about things like autonomous reasoning, because the book that he recommended that Otangelo read many months ago, that Otangelo passed on to me, the particular guy that wrote that book back in the early 80s, lays out his theory for the fall of Adam and Eve, and it was that Eve used her autonomous reasoning, and that's why man was expelled from the Garden of Eden. So Darth has a couple of things that are going wrong here, and I'm not sure where he stands on this. Either autonomous reasoning is an illusion, people don't really have autonomous reasoning, in which case we might just be influenced by good in the case of the Holy Spirit, or influenced towards bad, which would be the effects of sin or the influence of Satan. Or two, we do have autonomous reasoning, but we can't trust it because we'll probably do something awful anyway. There's huge contradictions to some of his theological claims down both of those forks, either fork in that road. So I'd be interested to hear what he actually says about them.
That is really interesting. I've never heard that, that angle of putting autonomous reasoning onto Adam and Eve, that is all the conversations I've ever heard on, online here, and I've never heard that angle. That's interesting.
And it's been brought up. Other people have said, well, wait, what was the sin? The fact that they ate the fruit, or the fact that they chose to do it? And if it was the fact that they made that decision, how were they capable of making a sinful decision to bring sin itself into the world? That seems like it's a contradiction. And so what this guy tries to say is, well, what happened here was that per the influence of the serpent, she relied on her own judgment, her own reasoning, instead of relying on what she was supposed to, which is, they are creatures of God, we are to obey God in all things. And it's like, okay, so this particular guy's definition fails that test, right? He's actually saying that sin came into the world because Eve sinned. It's viciously circular, right? It's terrible for the narrative. But and now Darth doesn't have to agree with everything that comes out of the text that he recommends, but that happened to be like what he believed was a foundational one he recommended to Otangelo. Otangelo passes this on to me. I got to that section, highlighted it, and I'm like, well, how the hell does Darth deal with this?
AJ Heap makes a good point in the chat. If Eve hadn't yet eaten from the tree of knowledge, ostensibly she had no other reasoning other than her own autonomous reasoning. That's correct.
Right. Yeah. And according to this particular guy, his claim was, well, she basically lined up the facts, did a pro and con analysis of the whole thing, and that's what the story says, right? He tries to match it up with what the story says. She saw that the fruit was good for eating, and that some of the claims the snake was making, they seem to make sense. So she ate it. And then she hands it off to Adam for him to sample.
And you have to take into account it's not a tree of knowledge. It's a tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah, specifically.
So if you do not know what evil is, there's nothing bad you can do because you don't know what bad is. Yeah. For that, you need the knowledge.
Which is why in a lot of Jewish traditions, the whole point of this, it's about basically like human beings coming of age, going from it's about like a death of innocence in all things. That's sort of the point of it. The idea that it's turned into this doctrine of fallen man in Christianity is fraught with a lot of problems because it's built on a lot of different folk traditions from early Judaism. So,
and it also was necessary. Because if Eve hadn't eaten from the fruit, what was Jesus going to do?
Well, that's the Christian thing, right? And the Christian one, in order to harmonize the New Testament with the Old Testament, you have to get into that idea that, well, this was all part of God's redemptive plan. Darth believes that. But if you get into that, then you end up running into the problem. So the purpose of autonomous reasoning is so that we'll make bad decisions so that we will have to be reconciled with God after we spend a certain period of time as humanity in a fallen state. And then, but what he has a real problem with afterward is that if that story is harmonized and Christ dies for your sins, Christ has reconciled himself as God with his creation, and yet these people, and yet as humanity, we continue to live and get birth more people and die and stuff in a fallen state post salvation. Part of Paul's ministry seemed to be against that. He believed in the inevitable coming, the quick return of Jesus, and the establishment of the kingdom and the bodily perfection of all the saints.
Right,
and that didn't happen. So the longer we get away from that point,
right. Jesus was supposed to arrive before the apostles died, right? Is that how it goes? Yeah.
So that's
and also Benghazi, stop doing that. Tree of good and calamity.
The tree of good and
calamity. There is one out there who thinks that's what it says.
Do you guys want me to? Because at this point, this just goes on for a while with Darth just kind of berating this guy and basically repeating questions.
Well, so as I said, the reason I pitched this to you and said, "Are you going to review this?" Because I want to see this getting reviewed. Is the line of questioning that Darth uses, and that becomes progressively worse down the video.
Okay, let's play through it.
We've been talking for a long time, but when you listen to what is coming, you would really want to hold a mirror in front of Darth and saying, "Have you ever asked yourself these questions that you're asking this guy?" The amount of irony in this video.
I agree. This has to be one of the most embarrassing videos for him and Jay Robin. I thought myself. I guarantee no other Christian is going to think that, but because they never do. But yeah,
let's play through this and then we'll just let this play as long as possible. If you guys run across, I will keep my mouth shut and stop getting into weird tangents. Well, because he keeps this interrogation up for a little while, and it does get progressively worse.
Ooh, keeping the mouth shut. Where is Gurmania when you need him? He would have just put me backstage.
I mean,
go ahead.
And what did mommy and daddy say about this?
I mean, they didn't have an issue. It made more sense than Christianity in regards to problem of suffering.
What did mommy and daddy say when you told them that God spoke to you?
Yeah, they wanted to know.
Can I hold on? I have to interject.
Peter,
Can I just point?
I think that was 10 seconds.
Can I just point out that in every single video with Darth, you will hear him say, so what you're saying is, Darth, mirror.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake.
Well, he needs to straw man. I mean, it's a real need. So
he needs to pick on a personal flaw because he has no defense to what the guy's saying.
Yeah, well,
why he's going there.
All right.
It's every single time. If he gets against someone that he can't refute, he goes to ad hominems, calling them retards, calling them every name in the book.
It's a combination of the two. It's a combination. Like if he gets frustrated, he does it. If he gets excited because he's got more than one option to attack a person, he does it. I've noticed. And I think with this guy, it's the latter. I think he thinks that he's got this guy over a barrel and he's just asking these questions because the longer he can do this, the crazier he can make this guy seem. The sad thing about this is all the questions he's asking are the kinds of questions that an atheist would ask to basically sort of do like street epistemology to get a new Christian to doubt their faith.
Yep.
And Darth is doing this to this guy.
Yep.
Hmm?
Just tongue in cheek,
recipient.
It's just tongue in cheek.
Revelation about this God.
I mean, they don't know if it was God or not.
Oh, did they
agnostic?
So they're agnostic about this. Okay.
Yes.
What did you tell them about your God?
I told them about the nature of reality. I told them about the nature of reality.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a donkey jack.
So in other words, they just gave you an agnostic problem. They just sit there, and your father just took his thumb and index finger and just kind of scratched his chin and went, don't know about that, son. So you're just agnostic?
Well, they did see, like my father, he did see that it didn't answer.
Did you tell anybody else?
Yeah, I told like a bunch of other people. Yeah.
And what was their reaction?
Usually, it solves the problem of suffering and it answers a lot of questions.
It solved the problem of suffering?
Yeah, like it makes sense, and they don't really see an issue with it.
Oh, and have they started following your God?
It's not something to follow. It doesn't really.
So your God doesn't want to. So your God doesn't want to be followed.
No, like if you want to follow this God, you can, but you don't have to. It doesn't.
Oh, so he leaves it. It's optional for him. Is that right?
Yes.
So it's okay with him if we follow after other gods.
My question is this: what was his God's name, and where did he come from?
Please don't interrupt. Okay.
Okay.
So your God doesn't mind if we follow after other gods.
This is always a weird one, right? Like, sorry to interrupt again, but that kid kind of jumps in and says, like, what is this God and where does it come from, right? If it's a God in definition, like what Darth is, if this kid is saying, well, no, what you're defining as a God, I've actually experienced, then it doesn't come from anywhere. It's everywhere. So and
does have a name.
He should have. XP should have just been like, what's your God's? When Darth's asking, what's your God's name? His name is Keith. just give it a name. Give it a name.
Mm-hmm.
There's not other actual gods, but
no,
it's fine.
Is it okay with him if we follow after other gods?
Absolutely.
Really? So it's okay if with your God for people to follow things that are false.
Well, for it not to be okay, you have to have the ability to act on otherwise, and because we don't in this immediate situation,
okay. I think we're done. Okay. So you're either making this crap up, or you are seriously delusional. Everyone in the room knows that you're making at least half, if not more, of the stuff up on the spot. You're just making it up.
No, I'm being honest with you, and they completely changed my life.
Give me a list of the attributes that your God told you about himself in March. Were you on the toilet? Were you in bed?
No, I was on the toilet, but I was on the toilet.
Oh, okay. Were you on a hike down the street? What? When did he?
No,
did you climb a mountain like Moses?
No, I'm saying it came to me multiple times at different periods. And prior, I was like, God,
you told me it came
atheist.
to you on a day, so now God made multiple appearances to you.
It wasn't just one day when I gained this knowledge.
Oh, okay. So was it always in your dream? Was it always in your dreams?
Well, it was dreams, it was visions, and it was just even while I was
It
awake.
was
Just
visions. Were these visions when you weren't dreaming?
yes.
What did your God tell you specifically about himself in your visions? Were you walking? Were you sitting? Where were you when you had these visions?
Well, multiple places because it wasn't just one, like a one-time thing.
Okay. Did you write this stuff down?
Yeah, I wrote it down. I need to get it, and then I can present.
It's a classic mistake. If Darth asks you if you wrote down your revelations from your God, tell him, no, I have an amanuensis who takes all my notes for me.
Well, keep in mind, Darth writes everything down. If you talk to him,
yeah, he takes notes on all.
He will have notes. He will have notes on you.
Nah, I'm sure he does. He probably has like a picture of like a penis next to my name. You know. Granted,
he is very old.
Yeah,
he says so in pretty much every video. He's
got sneakers older than some of us. Yeah.
He's Methuselah.
And I just want to say, like, if he's got sneakers older than some of the people he's talking to, that is not hygienic. That's how you get ringworm.
Yeah. And also, if you keep telling people that you're old, that's the first sign of dementia.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Oh,
and
where is this writing?
I wrote in my notes, and I wrote like a visual diagram.
Okay, are you near your notes?
No, it was actually my apartment.
Oh, okay. So you've been sitting on this. So you got this. Was it last year, or last March?
Last year March.
Last March.
No,
so
last
all
year
of a
March.
sudden, was that March of 2020 or 21?
2020.
Jesus.
2020. Okay. And did you share your notes with other people?
Yes, as well as the visual diagram.
Right. And what was their reaction?
I have to do it. Sorry, Jeff.
No.
The guy said last year March, and then Darth said, so last March. It's September, Darth. Last year March was 2020.
Yeah.
We've had another March. I know you're old. Make notes. Buy a calendar.
Or take a note-taking class so that the notes you take are better.
Yeah. Make sure you have your notes handy when you're talking to people.
Darth, you can take what community college. Get those community college lectures to show you how.
The guy he's talking to doesn't know everything from his notes. Darth doesn't know what month it is.
Well, he doesn't have his calendar in front of him.
Nah, obviously.
Did anybody decide to embrace your God?
Yeah, and then there were people that decided not to, which is normal.
Oh, and how many people decided to embrace your God? Was it 5, 10, 20?
I don't know. Like a lot of people saw that it was authentic. They just didn't know that it was true.
Did you copy your notes so that they could have that? And did your God inspire you to write down accurately what he told you?
Yes, and I wrote it down. I did a diagram.
And how do you know your God inspired you to write down accurately what he conveyed to you?
How do I know? Because God revealed it to me. That's why I know. Like I don't.
Did he tell you he was going to make you infallibly write down what he gave to you in a vision?
No, he didn't tell me to write it down, but I'm saying I wrote this down.
Oh, okay. So this was in your visions. Okay. Mm-hmm. Have you told all these other people that you had visions? Was there anybody who had a reaction to let you know that you might be having mental problems?
Obviously, with any person that believes I got talked to him, of course, you're going to have people that believe that.
Did anyone tell you that they thought you were having mental problems because you think that God came and uniquely spoke to you?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because I mean that's crazy, right? God wouldn't just show up and start talking to people.
Yeah.
I mean, where the hell did this kid get that shit from?
Yeah.
He probably.
Have you ever seen God talk to people? I mean, wouldn't he have talked to Abraham as well, or to Moses, or Noah, or shit?
What was that movie with Jim Carrey? The kind of like cheesy comedy where he becomes God. Bruce Almighty, was that it?
Yeah, Bruce Almighty, I think. Yeah.
I kind of wonder if that's what Darth thinks. Like XP has seen Bruce Almighty, and now he's just kind of riffing on that. And that's the only place this kid's gotten this concept of a God showing up and talking to somebody. But
that's pretty much why I came up with Gary the Great. That could be a next movie. That's funny, but
Well, yeah, I mean, I get Abel Ferrara to direct the movie, you know, so it's a little like Bad Lieutenant, you know, horrible, vicious, nasty. That'd be good.
it would make for some good drama.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there's like a few, not a lot.
Like any family members?
No.
So your parents were kind of agnostic about your visions that the creator of the universe came and spoke to you.
I have a question to ask him.
But they did. Please wait. So they didn't conclude that you are having mental problems.
No, because I don't show any issues with that. Like I'm perfectly stable in terms of my
So
mind.
did you show your notes to your dad or your mom?
Yes.
And what was Dad's response to your notes?
I mean, he sees that it makes sense. There's no
Did
internal
the
issues
light
with
click on
it.
in him that this was the truth of God?
No, it didn't just click. But he's saying he can't.
So your dad is opposed to your God then?
That's not. He's not saying it's wrong.
Well, he's not accepting it. If you don't accept a message that claims to be God, that's a de facto denial.
Like
Yeah.
Darth Dawkins is
There
so
we go again.
pathetic that he's actually projecting his binary idea about the acceptance or denial of God onto this guy's system. This is truly sad. Like, well, now I know you're lying because that's not biblical at all. My God is this binary. It's a one or a zero, up or down. It's none of this undecided bullshit. That's crazy.
And keep in mind, he lives in a basement. Everything becomes black and white if you live in a basement long enough.
Yeah. And that's why he has shoes
it's
older
not-
than us. Because he
it's
doesn't get
not-
out of the basement and he can't wear them out, right? I mean,
It's not the only two options, Darth. You can believe it, you cannot believe it, and you can reject it, and you can call it bullshit, and you can call it delusional. There are multiple options.
I'm 80% certain. I'm about 80% convinced that Darth Dawkins' God exists, but I also think that God is female because the way he describes it sounds like a real mother. So
He's honestly conflicted because he's
your dad. So your dad is.
And she lives upstairs. Oh, sorry.
yeah, and she hollers when the lasagna's done. Gary, supper, get your supper. This
Have you changed
beefaroni-
your diaper yet?
Your beefaroni's
Oh, sorry.
getting cold and eaten. Don't make
you-
me feed it to the cats again.
Have you noticed he did 24 minutes without changing a diaper?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nobody showed up at the door.
No.
He didn't have an errand to run. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got new diapers.
You have not accepted it.
Well, he seems conflicted because it seems like he wants you to be a Christian, and that was his culture.
Oh,
and I guess
wait a minute. So your dad's a Christian.
yes,
Oh, okay, I was about to ask.
And so
you
your
that.
dad's a Christian, but he's agnostic about this God who came to communicate to you.
yeah, because like he's not saying it's
Okay,
wrong.
yeah. So is he a Bible believing Christian?
Oh,
No, so he doesn't believe the Bible. Is your dad a Bible believing Christian?
I'm sorry about that sound. I didn't realize I was
All right.
on.
Oh, I just realized I'm
Yes.
late for an appointment. I should.
Shit.
All right,
Oh,
I'll
okay.
hand this over to J. Robin. Okay, yeah, you might want to make an appointment with a psychiatrist.
Is that what your appointment is about, Darth?
Yeah, Darth needs to go. Darth needs to go see a psychiatrist. That's why I had to dip out. Like,
But
I just
But I
want to give my recommendation.
I say it before every time he says he's got to leave. Diapers full.
Yeah.
But
I
I
thought
don't
it
wanna-
didn't happen in this one.
Yeah, I didn't
I'm
think
like-
so either. Yeah, I forgot. I totally forgot when we were just talking about it. And like, well, not only does he have to get to an errand, he has to run an errand. He's late for it. How are you late
Yeah.
running an errand? Like,
When it runs down your legs.
oh, right. Good call. Ugh.
Stan is why do people say that? Like, if you're not an atheist, I'm not saying if you're an atheist, but like if you're a theist, why would a person say that you're crazy when it could be true that God could beam knowledge of what God has done to you? Considering that God can do that, why do I keep hearing theists say, "Oh, maybe you're crazy"? Where's that coming from?
Yeah, so this is what Darth asked him. Okay, he said, "Do you believe, or if we believe in other gods, okay, does your God care?" And he said, "No." So then it follows from that your God doesn't care about whether or not we believe in the truth or the lie. Okay, so how does he know?
No,
that
his
he's
God
not,
is just different. His God doesn't care about those sort of things. He
Again,
just
how does God know that he's not being lied to?
That's all I'm saying. He doesn't care about those things.
Bottom line, we need to repent.
And your God doesn't have all great making properties, which then means that you don't have a
Diapers changed. He's back.
Yeah, he must have just wiped his leg and ran back.
Shoveled a couple spoonfuls of cold beefaroni in there. The rest is for the cats, bitch. I mean, Mom. Here you go. I got to talk to these idiots about Jesus, for the love of Christ.
That's all these are properties. What do you mean by that? Dawkins?
Yeah, unless you have a God that has all great making properties, okay, then you don't have an ultimate God. And without an ultimate God, you cannot have an intelligible worldview.
And by all these great making properties, can you please clarify a little bit? I really want to understand you.
Yeah, the God of the Bible has revealed his nature, that he has all great making properties, right? And that he is the only one ontologically, because of what he is, that provides for everything. And that includes the rationality and intelligibility of our world.
Okay, so we're talking about the same thing. Nothing I said objects to.
Dude, listen to me. It's very obvious that you're either delusional or you're just making this stuff up about your God. It's obvious.
Okay,
why all I have to do is ask you a series.
Obvious, bald. AAAAHBV.
Yeah.
Series of questions, and it turns out that you don't have an ultimate God. You just have a God that is the figment of your imagination, just like Muhammad.
I literally told you my perspective that it's ultimate.
You told me your God does not care about other people following other gods.
Okay, hang on a second. I got to address this. Jay, I never get invited. The trick is Peter showed me is to invite yourself. That's what Peter did, and it worked. So he invited himself, and he brought David along.
And then I brought David along.
Yeah,
on the ride.
Just to tag along. Yeah.
No. You're godlike. You're necessary. For the next video.
Yeah. We need to get through this. We've only got like 2 minutes left. This is perfect, man.
If there are people in the side chat who have made an acquaintance with Otangelo, let him all know he's up next, because I think he left. He doesn't want to miss this.
Matt, is it weird for a bro to send nudes to get an invite? Absolutely, Matt Big. Absolutely. That's weird.
Yep.
Considering that I sent speed nudes and it got me blocked. Remember? Yeah, see, Jay, that's your problem. Right there. You're not Dutch.
Yeah, Peter's going to double down on that. Like, yeah, Dutch, get it done. All right.
Absolutely. Because you're predetermined.
And your God is not concerned that people follow the path of truth. Jesus Christ said of himself, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus made it very clear. You shall have no other God, or God in the Bible, in the Old Testament. You shall have no other gods before me. Why? Because they don't actually exist.
How do you know
your God is indifferent to people being deceived about worldviews? So we're done. Listen, dude, listen to me. I'm not trying to be mean. You're nuts.
We're following a predetermined script, so that's why.
You're nuts, XP.
We're following a predetermined.
Everyone in the room, you're nuts.
Darth Dawkins is a character written to be a Christian. That's why you're a Christian, not on your own choosing, but because that's a character of Darth Dawkins.
Sometimes when people are so mentally disturbed, you can't reach them.
Okay, you just resort into attack, so you have an argument against it, which is fine.
Okay, bye, nutso.
I had a question.
Too late.
By the way, did you get that, Tom Rabbittt?
Too late.
All right. So
I have to address JC Knott. He says Otangelo blocked me and I didn't even send him nudes. Send him semi-nudes and he will use them as an avatar. I did. And he did. Not kidding. If you see Otangelo popping up with hairy bosoms, that was me sending that to him.
If anyone shows up with hairy bosoms on the internet, it's probably it's going to become like a cottage industry for you. All right, folks. So this is just like any double feature or like a night at the drive-in, even though that I've only been to the drive-in maybe twice in my entire life because that's a little before my time, really. We're going to do, it's usually the first movie that's kind of shitty. It's the second one's not, it's always better. So that one was kind of, I mean, I liked that video for the most part, just to hear Darth ask questions he really should be asking himself, per Peter's point. But now we're going to do this one. This one's a little bit shorter. It's Darth Dawkins and Otangelo are reunited. And so, and this is the reason that Peter and David asked to be here, because they have some background information on some of the stuff going on here. So this should be interesting. This is background information I have not heard yet, so I'm very curious. So let's jump into this one.
Right now, you're consorting with liars, prevaricators, the scum of the earth right now.
Heathens, I hear. Heathens.
Well, Otangelo's here.
Hello, Otangelo.
So,
Hello, guys. I love it when you spank me, Darth. Oh, I would love it.
That's not nice.
Oh, by the way, Otangelo, looks like you and Darth are buds again, huh?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It didn't take long, did it?
No, it didn't really. I couldn't stay a long time away from the Darth.
Jeez, Matt Big.
It gets worse.
Yeah, the PMAR. I think if you're asking if I saw PMAR's stream, I think you're talking about the one. Spooky sent me a link to the one where PMAR's recorded some of what happened between Smokey Saint and Darth Dawkins yesterday. I didn't watch it. I did kind of spool through it to see if it, and it predictably, like, it just, like, the last 30 minutes of it or so is like PMAR's hanging out with various people on other Discord channels. So I didn't
miss the beginning. Oh man.
Of what?
The best part was at the beginning.
Oh, for PMARS?
No, with the Darth Dawkins with Smokey.
No, I saw all that. I saw that in real time.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I watched that when it was on. Yeah, I watched that when it was on Skylar's.
Yeah, the funniest part, because I had just watched why Darth and Otangelo split up. One of the things that Otangelo did was talk to, and now I forgot his name again. J. Help me out.
J.L. Warren.
J.L. Warren. He was going to do a debate with J.L. Warren, and Darth told him, "You can't do that because he was mean to me. He made me almost cry and stuff like that." And then Otangelo said, I made a commitment, so I'm going to debate him. And then Darth said, well, then send them an email and tell them if you apologize to Darth, then I will be there on Friday. And Otangelo didn't even want to do that. And Darth got mad because if Darth tells you you can't speak to someone, you can't speak to someone.
Yeah.
If you now go watch Darth versus Smokey, you will hear someone say, Darth, I really think you should block him. And boom, Otangelo's muted and overtalked, and Darth's going to talk to Smokey. I thought that was hilarious.
That is pretty funny.
Oh, apparently it only works for Darth, not for other people, if you say you can't talk to them.
Yeah, double standard, totally.
Yeah. It was funny, though.
I still think you got a problem, Fred.
Did you craft a new paddle for him to use on you?
Otangelo, but I think I can understand, because what must have happened was that, I mean, there's no way that you would have just come back like without an apology. I'm sure he reached out to you and he said, hey, I'm sorry about my behavior, and can you forgive me, and moving forward, I'm not going to expect that from you. I mean, what is it that he said to you to make you come back?
Well, I just was in the same room, and it was hugs and love again,
Oh, he pretended like nothing happened.
Okay, can we let that sink in for a moment?
Hugs and love.
Hugs and love. When they were in the same room.
Well, usually, I mean, this has happened to me, despite the fact that I'm probably on some kind of permanent, reprobate list that Darth keeps. Now all of a sudden he's sending me messages on Discord. I can't text him back, but he's open. He's dropped some of his security features where he can at least see me on there, so that he can try to goad me.
If people have you blocked, if people have you blocked, they can still see your messages. You can't see theirs.
Right, but I mean, before he had it like where I was like, if I was in a channel and he went in, I was in the setting for his attack dog bot that if that thing was running, I would get kicked out and server banned, and the server would disappear. I couldn't access the server just by him showing up. Now I'm not on. I don't merit, I guess, that level of security anymore, because now he can be on one. I tested it. I went into one that he was in. He was kind of sitting in there muted, and I went in. Nobody was talking on the channel, and I clicked on it to see if I could join the call, and I could. And then it was while I was working, so I was just listening in while they were chatting for about 5 or 6 minutes, and then just signed out. So he's lowered that security for me. So this idea that like he doesn't always keep somebody at the completely muted. He'll over time he'll cool off, drop those safety settings to see if they come back for more.
He does?
He does.
He blocked me. He never unblocked me.
Well,
I've tried a couple of times.
In your case, you might be special though.
Yeah. I didn't want to talk to him offline. I wanted to do that on air.
Well,
that was my mistake.
To be fair, part of that was probably because of Otangelo, because Otangelo was trying to get him.
No. That was long before Otangelo.
No, I don't mean between you and me. In my situation, Otangelo was trying to set up conversations. He was constantly trying to get
probably
Darth talking. So I think that's why some of them got lowered. But and
then you're just mean to Darth.
I am.
So that also helps.
Yeah, he likes it.
You talk about him, and you're making sense.
Yeah, it's mean. It's just cruel.
Yeah, that is mean.
Happened? Well, we just stayed away for about 3 months. I went to the room. He was there, and we had a short exchange. That was it.
Oh,
it's going. How many euphemisms can you pack in just a few minutes?
Yeah,
we were in one room, and then it was hugs and love, and I couldn't stay away, and. I mean, they're not really self-aware, these people.
No.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. All right, here we go.
What's that called? Munchausen syndrome?
I mean, love is never having to say you're sorry.
I mean, isn't Christianity not about forgive each other and forget bad feelings and so forth? So that's what happened.
Oh, do you think Darth has forgotten? Is that what you think?
I like Tom's like, oh, you think he's forgotten, huh? I wonder, does Otangelo forget that Darth Dawkins takes notes? We were just talking about his note taking.
I don't know. What I noticed is that the Christian thing to do is to forgive. If you go to Germania's channel and you watched, I think it's the last hour where Otangelo comes in. I make a certain suggestion to him, and he just completely ignores that. So that's where at least my antenna went up and thought something's off. But I wasn't expecting this though. But yeah, forgiving, it might be Christian. It's not something that Otangelo does, I think.
I don't think it's something that Darth does either. So they've got that.
No.
Daniel Cooper writes this: Otangelo got back into Didi's good graces because he told J.L. Warren to fuck off for supposedly misrepresenting his position. Yeah, I heard that too. That's what I heard.
That's true. Yep.
So
yeah.
Didi, man, he hates himself some J.L. Warren. Hates it.
Yeah.
I actually am a little bit jealous of J.L. Warren.
because he didn't misrepresent him, he nailed it.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Yeah, he did.
But I think the thing that J.L. Warren, I think, had brought up some stuff about like his personal history.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yep.
And anytime you bring up any of that kind of stuff, it's weird because a couple of times he's talked about that. He's talked about being slandered and all this other kind of stuff, but he doesn't really deny it. Like, he doesn't. I don't think I've ever really heard him say that's not me or that's not what happened. He just says they're slandering me. Like, slandering you how? Like, if it's not you and that didn't happen, then just say that. And then eventually people will get bored with it. But that's not what he does. He puts up a half-assed defense that makes it even more mysterious, so people poke him with it. Goofball.
Yeah, and there are a lot of receipts out there. I mean, there's a video where his wife talks in public about the things that he did. So it's not slander. She had a damn good reason to leave him. He cheated on her twice. He drove one of his kids to nearly to suicide, and he I don't know if he still has professional help, but he pretty much destroyed him because he was autistic. Obviously, he's a retard. Stuff like that.
Yeah. That's what Michael Deaton says. Oh, it happened. Darth cheated on his wife, abused his autistic son to the point his family has cut him off completely from their lives. Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and I've heard all that, and I know that people are. I mean, my level of being convinced, I wouldn't be surprised if that's his family life, but I haven't seen anything that makes me completely certain that is what happened. But when I hear that, it's almost like the Smokey Saint thing. Like, did he or didn't he get arrested in North Carolina for that? Well, he didn't get arrested in North Carolina, but.
His wife did go on. It was a television show, I think, and told people that he gave her STDs.
Yep,
because he was cheating.
Yeah.
So,
but my whole thing is like I'm not totally convinced of what I've seen. I'm not convinced that the person that I'm hearing on these is 100% that person. I wouldn't be surprised if it is, but I haven't seen those kinds of receipts. So I usually don't do the I find some of the memes that people come up with are pretty vicious, occasionally funny, but I don't.
Well, in the last video, the guy that he was talking to had some kind of visions, and I think that he was sincere. The fact that what he attributed the visions to isn't real. That's a possibility, and that's probably more likely. But Darth straight went to, you've got mental problems.
Yeah.
So yeah, he does do that.
Yeah.
Have you seen a psychiatrist? Have you had yourself checked out? Stuff like that.
Yeah, which is interesting because when it's been told to him, he loses his shit and then hates
because it hits home.
Yeah, he psychology is bullshit. Psychiatry is even dumber because it's voodoo with prescription drugs, and none of these people know what they're doing, and most of them aren't godly, and yada 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 yada. Yeah, if it's psychology for him, it's obviously he's impenetrable.
Should I mention that he and his wife went into therapy after the first time he cheated on her?
Yeah, I was going to say it probably didn't work for him. That's why he hates it so much, because he's so fucked up. It couldn't, none of the medication worked for him. None of the therapy worked for him. So.
Or they pointed out a few character flaws, and he lost it.
Will not accept that. Yeah.
Yeah, if they pointed out like, have you ever heard of narcissistic personality disorder or antisocial personality disorder?
Do you know what gaslighting is?
Yeah. Do you know what emotional manipulation is? Well, what was your relationship like with your parents? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with it. Yeah.
Oh, carry on.
Do you really think Darth has forgotten Otangelo? Is that what you think?
Maybe not forgotten, but he has unblocked me, so I can send him messages.
Oh, wow.
The Lord give it.
Congratulations.
The Lord give it.
Otangelo.
Yeah, I mean, I am so relieved now.
Now, in your absence, there's been people that have been moving in on, jockeying for position. They're like bodybuilders, at a pose down. They're all trying to get in front of you, Otangelo. You were out of sight, out of mind. Now you gotta did you lose your spot?
There's a clear leader.
The truth is that nobody can take my place. So that's true.
I gotta give Otangelo this tiny bit of credit here. And I think it's important to point out because I think some of these guys on here, based on the way they're laughing, don't get it. Like, no matter what you think of Otangelo, at least at this point, he is using something of a sense of humor here. Like, he is being sarcastic.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
In this,
he is.
He is.
He's also blissfully unaware of what his place actually is.
Possibly, yes.
Yep,
But the way he's talking,
exactly,
like the way he's responding to Tom Rabbittt, like he's not. It's obvious to me anyway. I've talked to him before. I mean, all of us have talked to him before, but it seems to me like it's pretty obvious that he's being sarcastic. Like this is actually an example of being tongue in cheek. Darth Dawkins, take out your notebook. I know you keep notes. That's tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Yep.
Calling somebody a retard or something, that is not tongue in cheek. That's just
No, that's a bit over the top.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Which
well,
place
I think
is yours?
actually that's probably incorrect. Your place could probably be easily taken by just a link to your forum with all of your notes on it. It literally has everything you've ever posted and never said on there. It's just listed there.
It's that charming personality of his. That's the X factor.
Yeah, you are
Yeah,
actually quite-
Angelo's the only person who's created a forum where he's the only one that posts on it.
Isn't that amazing? I think it's amazing.
The next day.
You don't imagine how many atheists that congratulated me that I went a little bit farther away from Darth gravitation. And
they were probably orgasmic over it.
yeah, they think that you are a bad influence.
Fuck.
Wait a minute. Isn't that funny? The atheist is saying, I'm a bad influence.
Yeah.
And what is and what is their standard to say what's bad?
No, but you know what they point out? They say, "Okay, Angelo, before you are actually started to go to the Discord server with Darth Dawkins, you were such a nice guy, and everyone liked what you were saying, and so forth. And after you actually started to interact there, you became much more aggressive and started to people calling names and made personal attacks.
Well,
and things like
well,
that,
you gotta come clean, Otangelo, to everyone in the room. Just admit to everyone in the room, you read my book several times, the Darth Dawkins book of verbal jujitsu.
Yeah.
See, at that point, right? Like at that point, it's easy now. Now it's. I think it's obvious to say, like, yes, this whole thing is kind of cringe. It's just cringy, but Otangelo has a better sense of humor than Darth Dawkins, because that was like, was Darth Dawkins trying to be funny with that the jiu-jitsu comment? Like, that's not funny.
What Otangelo said right there, he was referring to the conversation that me and Peter had with him. That's what he was talking about right there.
Literally,
word for word. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, this was the whole.
And in that conversation, he admitted that he was using language that he hated using and that he regretted using.
Yep.
Okay.
Telling people to fuck off and telling people to go fuck themselves. Those are things that he used. And he said he regretted doing that. Now he's gone straight back. He's gone straight back to doing that.
Yeah, because even if you are being kind of sarcastic, this is the equivalent of patting yourself on the back. Because doing that, even if you did regret it, it worked. Like if Otangelo was calculated and did that because he knew that it would ingratiate himself with Darth and his crew, it worked.
Well, this is just the thing. We had that conversation with him. 2 days later, Darth unblocks him, and now he's using that conversation to get back into Darth Dawkins' good book.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what he's doing. So he's literally using people. He's completely insincere. Everything he told us was a lie. He lied from start to end.
He definitely was not sincere. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, very likely. Yep.
Yeah.
He agreed with David on a lot of the things that David said.
Yeah, he did. I mean, I think he knows it, but he just he doesn't care. He's yeah.
And he also is about to lie about what you said, because he's going to say that people told him that they liked what he was saying. That is not what we said.
Yeah, I noticed that. I'm like, that doesn't sound like anyone that I know.
We don't like what you're saying. We liked talking to you and talking about the arguments that you have.
Right.
We don't like your arguments.
people enjoyed his conversation. Right. That was the whole point. Right. Yeah.
One of them, because if you go to Germania's stream, I will point out that he has an entry on his blog, and as far as I know, it's still there, where he found a scientific confirmation that man came from dust. And then he links to an article that talks about a scientific paper, which literally explains how abiogenesis could have been possible billions of years ago.
Yep.
And when I pointed that out, he read it, and he gave me credit for pointing it out, that was a stupid move. As far as I know, I can check right now, but as far as I know, it's still there. Let me check.
So were these in comments then? That part?
No. I literally showed his blog on screen.
When you guys were having this conversation, was this live or was it off air?
An hour of it was live. The more important part wasn't live, sadly enough.
Yeah. We did get into quite a bit offline too, but a good portion of it was live, though. Enough of it was live.
And that was on Germania?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ger streams.
Yeah, and
looking that up.
And there were several people present during that conversation. So they can go check up on us whether or not we're talking the truth here. But yeah.
I'll keep playing this then.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think you shouldn't tell that publicly because, I mean, there are people, they record our conversations and then they constantly use them, you know?
Well, in other words, in the past, they thought you were a sucker, right? They could just BS you and you wouldn't catch it.
I mean, you don't know how many times I hear the repeated myself, I love to be spanked by you.
So messed up.
Oh gosh, isn't the atheist community just charming?
Yeah.
Disgusting.
but Tom, let me ask you something. I am new here in the Darth Dawkins fan club. How far can I go?
Now it gets weird.
How far can you go?
Yeah, this is weird.
Let your imagination take you wherever you want.
Simba, look out into the fields where the light touches.
Really, Antonio, is it okay for Otangelo to have abortion parties where he just aborts as many babies as possible? Like, let your imagination take you as far as you can go. Like, some people's imaginations can take them places you don't want to go. You know, oh, Antonio.
I mean, you know, you need to understand this. Listen, I mean, if Darth Dawkins, now that I'm in the club, if Darth Dawkins bans me or something like that, I mean, I'll feel devastated, you know? So I need to know my boundaries. This is mixed up.
What I am thoroughly delighted with you, Otangelo, is that you've seen the light insofar as J.L. Warren. You've seen the light.
I was yesterday at J.L. Warren's channel, and I was interacting in the side chat. Then he started to claim that I was promoting Ron Wyatt's Noah's Ark, and I corrected him and said, hey, that's not what I promote. I believe that Noah's Ark is on Mount Ararat. He kept insisting that, and then I wrote in the side chat, hey, that is a lie. You are lying about what I believe. They muted me, and then I came here on Discord, and I called him out on it and say, hey, you are deliberately misrepresenting my...
Yeah, welcome to J.L. Warren world.
Yeah. So... I said, okay, so now you are just confirmed. I thought to myself, this is precisely what Darth Dawkins said about you, and that confirms it. You are deliberately lying.
Wait a minute. Did you think this, or did you say that to him?
No, I basically I said.
See, that question. Did you say it to him? Did you talk about me? Did you white knight for me? Otangelo, and then you didn't. Oops.
He has to be careful too. Like, he has to be honest because, like you said, I mean, there is. I mean, some of this is on video.
He has to be honest, but Darth had expected him to say that to him, not to just think it, because that to Darth is the only thing that matters. People need to White Knight for him. People need to have his back. That's why he has his minions, to do his work for him. And this is the first chip. And there are going to be more, and Otangelo is going to be kicked again. Just a matter of time. I'm calling it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, what was weird, I mean, that last time he had that, when he was supposed to denounce and cancel his conversation or debate with Jail Warren per Darth's instructions, and even, and Otangelo's claim was like, no, that makes me look, that makes us in general look bad if somebody just bounced, that I agreed to do this, I gave my word, I'm not going to take that back. Darth was basically like, well, no, they're lying scumbags, so on that you can, it's perfectly fine to, to welch on an agreement with them. Even Antonio came in and was like, no, Darth, I think you're wrong on this. Antonio didn't get himself banned and muted.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
No. And Secular Pagan Mom says, now you see why I've always disliked the guy. I give no fucking quarter, damn it. Yeah, I think at least now we know who Otangelo is. We know that you can't trust him. If you talk to him, even if you're nice to him, doesn't matter. He will fuck you over the first opportunity he gets if he can get something out of it, and that's what he's doing right now.
Yeah. No, I kind of knew. I didn't even think I would get I thought the response I was going to get from him was, fuck off. Who the fuck are you to say, who I can talk to or who I should associate with, or how I behave. Yeah.
He could have said that. That was not even a problem. He could have said that. Yep. And we could have talked about that.
Yep.
But he didn't.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Really?
I mean, the whole damn community can see. I mean, how if you go back 8 months ago, like I mean, this is what I told him. I said, you go back 8 months ago, the whole community. He went on atheist channels all the time. And how many times did you see it when it ended? People would say, "Oh, thank you very much for coming on, Tangelo. You got a lot of guts. You jump into the lion's den. You're always a pleasure to talk to. Thank you for coming." And I mean, you heard those comments from atheists all throughout this whole entire community, all the time. Yeah. And it was very rare that Tangelo would rage quit or anything like that. He always would jump on, have great conversations with people. And do you see that happening now? Like never. He's 90% of them are screaming fights. He rage quits. He's swearing all the time. He's calling people liars. He's calling people liars a lot, that's a obvious tactic of Darth. Every person that Darth speaks to is a liar, right? They're all dishonest, So and he's Tangelo's picked up on all that stuff. It's obvious. And he thinks.
And fun fact, Otangelo and I were planning to do a show. One episode on my channel, next one on his, going back and forth. Yep. And we were going to go over Dawkins' arguments.
Yep.
That was Otangelo's suggestion that we do that.
Yeah. And Otangelo never called people liars. Ever.
No.
I mean, you go back 8 months ago, he would almost never, ever say that. And now he does it all the time. So come on, Otangelo. You pick that up from Darth because that's all Darth does. So
yeah, and it's an easy way to kick up drama. So
yeah,
and then he can come back and even if he doesn't do anything about it, like anybody that's watching this stuff, because there are plenty of Darth minions that are checking in on this kind of stuff. They're like, oh yeah, no, we saw it. We can vouch for that. Otangelo was in there, and he's all out of fucks to give. Sure.
Yeah, and I'm convinced Otangelo is watching right now. There's no way in hell that he's not watching.
Well, he will later if he isn't now. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
no question he'll check into this.
Yeah. And I got a message for Otangelo when he's listening. Otangelo, consider the things that we know Darth has done to his son. Consider that his son needed professional help, needed to be put out of the house because his dad was ruining him. That is the guy you look up to.
Yeah.
Now go have a think.
And yeah, I got a message too from him. I mean, you know, I was sincere when I spoke to Antangelo about those things, and you know, and I did tell him. I said, I don't give a shit what you do, Antangelo. I don't care who you talk to or what your reputation is, but this is the truth. You know, this is my opinion and what I see there, and you know, I think you should just, you know, reconsider on what you're doing and what you want to do in this community. And that was the whole point of me speaking to him. So it's like, I don't give a shit what you do, Antangelo, but you know, it's quite obvious. So, and I was just trying to point out the obvious. That's all. So.
Yeah, he exposed himself, and what we wanted to do, we wanted to have the conversation, because the conversation is important. Antangelo, you are not important. Not at all. I'm not going to miss you. I'm going to have more fun than you can think. The conversation would have been important. You are the one who chickened out. You are the one who slammed the door shut. If that's what you want to do, if that's what you want to do, you can stop calling in on the Atheist Experience. You can stop calling in on what's the other show?
Talk Heathen.
Talk Heathen.
The Line.
All of them. Yeah. You can just stop calling in, because word of this will get out. We have the video on Germania's channel that we can link to. We've got this one, and we've got the one on Tom Rabbitt's channel. Word will get out. You've made a name now. Now you can live up to it.
Yeah. It's sad, too. It is sad.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, guys.
It is.
Oh, okay. No, I thought you guys were done. Okay. You ready to go?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. You've been hanging around me too much. I'm a bad influence.
You know, I mean,
you see, even listen. Did you see that, folks? Antangelo is always cool, calm, and collected, and these filthy, lying scumbags even make Antangelo so indignant that he says something a little bit crass, like I did. Welcome to the club, Antangelo.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you see how infuriating these people are?
Yes, I mean, that made me really angry, because he was deliberately misrepresenting what I proclaim and what I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Little bit what you're doing now, Antangelo.
Yeah,
misrepresenting people.
Yeah, just a little bit. I would I would like to see what that is, because he seems to be claiming that J.L. Warren thought that he was Antangelo's claims that J.L. Warren thinks that Antangelo believes in that guy that said that the Ark was in a block of ice.
Yeah, Ron Wyatt.
Ron Wyatt. Yeah.
Ron Wyatt. Yeah, Ron Wyatt found the Ark, and I use the word "found" very loosely because it's a landslide in Turkey, in the mountains of Ararat, as the Bible says. Antangelo believes that someone else found the Ark on Mount Ararat. It's not what the Bible says. So even though he may have misrepresented him, and I think it's fair enough, because not all atheists follow the bullshit that young Earth creationists come up with. Noah's flood didn't happen, so there is no Ark, so you won't find it.
Yeah, that's a key point.
Not a thing. It's not a thing. And Antangelo has gone down to there were only 2,000 animals on the Ark. That is some turbo hyper evolution that happened 4,000 years ago. Yeah. I mean, people could literally see new animals popping up in front of their eyes if that was the case. Funny enough, no one took notes. There was no Darth Dawkins back then taking notes.
But only if there only were, he could have given a community college lecture on note taking to those backward ass primitives. They would have taken the notes. And, yep.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Saying that I believe that Ron Wyatt's rock structure near Mount Ararat is Noah's Ark. I've never said that. He kept insisting in it and said, "Hey,
Look,
you are
this
deliberately
guy-
lying about me."
This guy is either just a pathological liar or he's fundamentally incompetent. He stated that William Lane Craig was the world's most preeminent exponent. That's my word, but he said proponent of biblical presuppositionalism. He's an ignoramus because William Lane Craig is a critic of biblical presuppositionalism.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the kind of incompetence that we're
Jeff, can I say one more thing?
I mean, he constantly called me out.
So what I also would like people to do is go to modern day debate. Find the debate. It isn't that old. Did they find Noah's Ark? It was Otangelo, R.J. Downard, and then the guy who thought he found the Ark, and I forgot who R.J. Downard teamed up with.
Yep.
That was a debate that lasted for about an hour, I think. And after that hour, RJ said, "So, Otangelo, you've been acting like a potted plant. What do you have to say?" He didn't say a word. During the entire debate, he was a debate partner in favor of Noah's Ark being found. He did not say a single word. Nothing. So, talk about honesty, Otangelo. You volunteered for that debate. You couldn't answer any of the questions that you were asked in the Q&A, and you didn't have anything to contribute during the debate. So, I'm not even convinced that you believe that guy. You just desperately want to believe that someone found the Ark, and I think that is it.
Yep.
It's not.
Just
And
like
during the debate with Godless Granny, he brought it up as well, and Godless Granny kept grilling him. Do they know if it's a boat? He says, no, it's a wooden structure. So it could be a building. No, it can't be because it's too big. Pyramids?
How big
Anyone?
a building are we talking?
Yeah, I mean, buildings can get big, and you know what would speak in favor of a building? It doesn't have to float. It doesn't have to go on a rough sea and break in half.
Can you imagine the reason? The guys. Well, that's just huge. It can't be a building. I bet it's
Yeah.
that makes more sense. It's a boat.
Yeah. Nothing in the entire structure points to it being a boat. Probably why Otangelo was silent all the time.
Mm-hmm. All right, here we go.
Even Ron Wyatt had a better boat. At least it looked like a boat. He had a piece of wood, grind it. Some atheist made it for him, using coffee to make it look old. And then went on national TV in the US telling everyone that he made that piece of wood that Ron Wyatt brought home and showed the Christians. But yeah, we're talking about a guy who has Jesus's living blood. 23 chromosomes, 22 from Mary and 1 from God. I'm not even kidding.
Oh boy.
I'm not kidding.
Oh, I know. I just always forget about that thing.
He had it tested in a hospital.
Sure.
Someone he knew.
Yep. Sure he did.
Yeah. That's how he knew it had 23 chromosomes.
I wonder if it had like indefatigable energy, like it was like Flubber, and there was like a whimsical scene where it was like bouncing around the lab until they caught it. Sorry.
What I do know now is I think that Ron Wyatt is as truthful as Otangelo.
Yeah, that could be. That might be a safe bet.
And he found the Ark of the Covenant and handed it over to the Israeli government, who has it now.
Yeah, Daniel.
Not even kidding.
It was 4 months ago on MDD. Jordan and R.J. Downard versus Otangelo and Philip Williams.
Yeah, that's it. That is a must-watch if you want to know how good Otangelo is at debating.
Should check that out. I'll look that up. 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Huh? All right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's press on with this. We're almost done.
You will need drink when you go watch that.
Oh, so if I want to stay clean and sober, I need to avoid that particular one.
You should watch that with your brother.
Okay, all right.
Some good drink.
To die, I'm a liar, and things like that. You know, and I mean, I don't care. But at the moment, that
Well, one
he
thing that you
deliberately-
are not, one thing you're not, is you're not a liar.
I mean, I don't care. But as soon as he started deliberately,
He doesn't care.
Misrepresenting what I believe, that really infuriated me, because then he is willingly lying about me. And
Otangelo has misrepresented things I've said to him while I was saying them to him.
Yes.
He's being way too precious about all this. This is adorable.
Which is a trait he picked up from Darth, to be fair.
Yeah, that kind of like,
One of those things that we talked to him about that he rubbed off on him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you got that?
Peter, don't say rubbed off on him. I know what you mean by that.
Well, I mean, there was hugging and love, so there must have been some rubbing as well. I don't know. I wasn't there. They were in a room.
It's entailed. It's logically entailed that if there's hugs and love,
there you go.
there's rubbing off on.
Yeah.
Oh, this is already starting to get a little blue. All right, let's wrap this up so we can go off air and then say all the filthy things.
Yep.
Yeah, this isn't an isolated issue. This is a character issue with him.
Yeah.
It's a character issue with him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
irony.
Yeah, you see, do you remember when I asked you not to dialogue with him or Sidney Winston because these pieces of internet garbage that he slandered and defamed me about my personal life, making accusations, both of them, that are completely false.
Okay,
about my
so he does say
personal
they're false.
Hold on.
Now you know just a little bit of how I feel.
Yeah, Darth. You should, but you can convey with Smokey Saint, the guy who slandered Otangelo, called him names, cursed him out. That's okay, because Otangelo's not Darth.
Yeah,
that's the big difference.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. Yeah, yeah.
And he even asked you to block him, and what did you do? You had a conversation for over half an hour. With Otangelo in the room, and he wasn't allowed to speak, as no one is when you're around. And that also goes for Otangelo. Otangelo, look up battered woman syndrome. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
When he misrepresented your position, just imagine how you would feel, like if you were in my shoes, if he was personally slandering you about your personal life.
Otangelo really wouldn't have to imagine that if Otangelo was a good father. Sorry. that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, that's it for that. Okay.
All right.
Oh, good Lord. Well, thanks, guys, for coming on and reviewing these two with me. That was interesting. That was fun. We got a lot of people watching. We were up to, I think, 93 or 94 people at one point.
I know. I looked at that and I almost got stage fright. I was like, holy shit. This is like big time here. Holy shit.
It can't be because I'm here. I'm not that popular.
Yeah, Peter's like a governor on it. He kind of like limits the speed, like, you know.
Yeah.
There's a certain number of
Can't
people.
be.
No, he's just so Dutch.
What could have been is that some people knew that we were going to talk about Otangelo, and I was here. That could have been a thing.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is getting kind of interesting because, like, I'd like to think that, like, amongst us, like the three of us, we've been connected to Otangelo is becoming almost Darth popular now, right?
Yeah.
With some of the stuff he's starting to get in there. I don't think that his. I think
when you say Darth popular, you mean blocked by everyone?
Just
not allowed in the room.
He ends up creating the kind of, like, you know, Discord, not the app obviously, but that kind of like kind of train wreck vibe that I mean, he's still a long way off. I mean, Darth Dawkins gets the blue ribbon for that kind of thing. He'll show up and just you know, shit fire from, you know, and then everything just turns to molten shit from there on out. But I don't know if Otangelo's like trying to angle for that, but it seems like with some of the ones that I've seen before where Otangelo's name has been in the title of a video, it gets a lot of people. Like a lot of people are going there and checking it out. Like, yeah, I heard about that guy, or I saw him with Darth, or saw him talking with J. Robin, or whatever.
Keep in mind, train wrecks draw a crowd.
Yeah, they do. Speaking of which, how come, and maybe I'm just not in the right channels, but I never see Parakeet or J. Robin or even Antonio much anymore, like peek their head out from Discord to show up on YouTube, other than like the Skeptics generation thing. J. Robin was constantly calling into that, but that was, that was.
Do we know if they're allowed to speak to the big bad atheists?
Oh, maybe that's a condition for belonging to the Darth Dawkins fan club.
Yeah, then maybe that's what you need to be in the club. You're a real member. It's sorry, it's all euphemisms for me. I'm Dutch. I can't help myself. That's where I go.
I'm going to post the link here in the side. I'm not going to be on for too much longer. It's 2:34. This is about as long as I usually will ever go.
Yeah, long stream because Peter can't shut up. Let the goddamn video play.
But if anyone's interested, if anybody's got any questions or anything, go ahead and post them in the top chat. I'll try to answer them before we sign off. Stick around for another 5-10 minutes or so.
And Spooky, if you get in here, I shall spank you. You've been a naughty son.
This guy, Parakeet equals what is he about? Yeah, it's a good question. Parakeet just literally kind of he ends up kind of parroting things that Darth says and chimes in with weird asides that are sometimes totally pointless. But he's almost I've never seen him unless I'm seeing him as a different username. There are a lot of people that have a different Discord username than they will have a YouTube handle, so that could be it. Yeah. But I'm not hearing their voices on stuff either, so I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, J. Robin was go back a few months. He was poking his head out into YouTube a little bit, but I haven't seen him out there at all lately.
Interesting question from Secular Pagan Mom.
So is Tangelo your easy access DDS phenomenon? Maybe, and then I can say like I'll be able to tell people, hey, remember when he was up and coming? I helped get that poisonous guy famous, YouTube famous. Sorry, that's a terrible thing to be proud of or to even pretend to brag about now.
And Mom, you should join just for fun.
Wait, I'm confused. I thought Peter was a Swede. Are you telling me he's Dutch?
I'm 100% Dutch.
Is there a difference?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can be a Hollander.
A Highlander. Wait a minute. That's a whole different.
Don't start.
That's someone from Holland. But yeah, so being Dutch is kind of difficult because
there can be only one.
No, there are three countries, 12 provinces, 2 Netherlands, 2 Hollands. It's confusing.
Oh, he's so serious. He's so serious about it.
We're separated from France by Belgium, but we share a border.
Did you put
on the other side of the planet?
Did you put your finger into the dike?
See, and that amazingly enough, the guy with the finger in the dike is an American because that never happened. There was an American who wrote a story.
See, he's so fucking serious. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I'm serious.
No, I was gonna say I was in that room with Darth and started asking him questions and immediately got fucking silenced. Immediately.
Yeah, well, see, you got in here, and I can see why. Calling me a Swede.
You fucking Finlander. Oh wait, that's a whole different country. Never mind. My bad.
No. I'm pretty sure Finland is next to Italy, which is west of the Netherlands, according to some Christian apologist.
Oh,
might have been a calamity when he said it.
Oh,
I don't think any of those places exist. I read through the entire Bible and didn't see any of them mentioned.
Yeah, they never mentioned a word about anything like that. Yeah, Iceland is fictional.
Yeah, and so are you saying the U.S. is in there?
Well, God revealed to me that the U.S. exists, so that's okay. we're good there.
Well, yeah. Read the book.
Well, we just heard from Darth how credible that is.
Yeah.
Have you had yourself checked? Have you spoken to a therapist? I mean, God doesn't reveal himself to ordinary people if he doesn't even take his time to meet Darth.
Get a load of this twist. God revealed it to me through the therapist. Boom. Mind blown.
Not if you're in the U.S. There's a reason why there's an entire website to get secular therapy. a lot of therapists will tell you need Jesus. So,
we'll see. What if everybody's wrong and the Scientologists are right? Then we're fucked.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Jeff was just like, fuck this. I'm out.
Yeah, apparently we ran him. There he is.
I was going to say we lost our host.
I was going to say, was he mad because I came in as Bullet Tooth Tony?
Can you guys hear me? Oh, there it goes. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, I think I'm actually getting a shortness. So like I had unmuted myself, but nothing was going through, and then it kicked off like that. So,
have you tried turning it off and turning it back on?
That's what I just did. I was good.
Is it on channel 3? Try channel 4. Is it on channel 4? Try channel 3.
Channel 3.
Oh, midnight.
So Peter was talking about therapists.
Oh, yeah. I thought it got brighter. Hey, midnight. Noon, I mean.
Fucking Dutchman.
How have you been? Have you heard the bad news?
What?
Angelo fucked up. So now you're the one getting slammed all the time again.
Wait, what? What did Otangelo fuck up? What?
Wait, you come in here and you didn't watch any of the stuff that happened before?
No.
Kick him out, Jefferson.
Yeah,
kick him out.
Don't bother, Peter. Don't bother.
His bones are magic, though.
Okay, can someone give me the TLDR? Come on, don't be mean, Peter. Don't be an asshole. Don't be a Dutchman. Which if you're an asshole and a Dutchman,
okay.
Anonymous. So there you
go. TLDR. Go watch Germania stream from 2 days ago. A stream called What Color is 5? What does a square taste like? Go to about.
Okay, hold on.
I'm not even kidding. That's the title of the video.
No. Okay.
And then you need to go watch that, and then you need to go watch Tom Rabbitt's channel, Otangelo and Darth Reunited, I think was the title.
Yep, that's it. Yep.
I can sum it up better than that. Darth's still an insufferable asshole, and Otangelo is still an insufferable asshole, and that pretty much covers the stream.
Right.
And
a liar.
Right, but how the fuck did he fuck up?
He disagreed with
he basically sucked up to both Brian and me on Germania's channel.
Oh, I see.
And then went to Darth and told a completely different story. So
okay.
we at least now know that Otangelo is capable of lying. And not only that, he will lie if necessary. So
I figured that out.
Everything he says now in any debate could be a lie.
That's fucked up, Peter. You're fucked up in the head. I'm just kidding. I know. Yeah. Fuck you, Otangelo. No one likes you anymore. Over at all.
Close call, Whitey.
I like Otangelo just fine.
You are.
I would still talk to him. I've got a lot of questions.
Hey, I'm uber white. Okay, you heard of the uber mensch? Yeah. I'm the uber white.
Yeah, you're the shining light of the community. I've always said so. You're the brightest member of the atheist community.
You guys all suck. Fuck you. The only one that's cool is Jefferson.
I mean, Midnight, you must enjoy these kinds of melanin-related put-downs that Peter
Not really.
constantly offers. Like,
Not really, but whatever. Hey, you know what? I need to learn how to laugh at myself more. So.
Well, I mean, Midnight can say that, but once he goes on another channel, he will still White Knight for me.
I can't remember.
Where the fuck did I White Knight for you?
Real quick,
He still
so
doesn't get it.
the one that the video that Tom
Look in the mirror.
the video that Tom Rabbittt premiered with Darth just like losing it again over the birthday card from Matt Dillahunty.
Yeah. Oh.
People are still getting the knickers in a twist over the birthday card.
Darth. Yeah, apparently
he's reviewing that every year.
That was the cringiest of cringe videos I've seen in a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I honestly think Matt was justified in getting pissed off about it. Like, hey,
And
son,
it's-
we love you, but you're going to hell. Okay, thanks, mom.
And it's so incredibly funny because, hey, Darth, when did you last get a birthday card from your son?
But see, that's
Or your
why
other
he
son.
reviews it. That's why he reviews
Or your
it,
ex-wife?
Because he's jealous. He wants a birthday
Yes.
card himself.
Yes. And if you live in the same house as your mom, she's not going to send you a birthday card because you're right there. She can just say, "Happy birthday, asshole." Go back into the basement.
Well, I mean, I live by myself, so I'm steps ahead of Darth.
Yeah. You
I mean, I don't-
actually live above ground.
I don't think Darth was even totally off base on it. Like, I think Matt made way bigger of a deal about it than he needed to. It was one of those, it's like, okay, I get it, but well, yeah, whatever. But, I mean, obviously, Darth took it way too far and made too big of a deal about it. But it's just one of those, like, I think this is one of those spots where they were both kind of like, yeah, whatever.
So here's my take. It was kind of cringe when he did it, but also it was a message for people out there who struggle with their parents after walking away from their religion. So
okay, that's fair.
To them, it might have been a big deal, I think. So, yeah, could he have done better? Yeah, he could have.
For Peter.
Yeah, I always get points. Last time I talked to Otangelo, I got points. There are two links here in the side chat.
Yeah, well, I can't see
Two is one. You can't see them?
No, I just joined.
No,
So
he's
I
talking
can't
about
see
the
them.
YouTube chat.
Okay,
YouTube
copy, paste. No, in the private chat.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And the second one, copy, paste. The second one is a link from the first one. And that's actually where Otangelo on his blog found confirmation. Don't start reading yet.
Sorry.
I should have known. Give him something to read, and he's.
I'm a happy camper. Yay!
Yeah.
Calm your
You're our own atheist community audiobook. The moment we give you something,
immediately starts reading.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine me reading around? Like me reading an audiobook or narrating an audiobook. Like every fucking word would be a stutter. Like people will be wondering. Okay,
hold on. I might be the only one, but when you're reading, you don't stutter.
I mean that's fair, but sometimes
You still have a silly voice, but you don't stutter.
That's the fucking Dutchman. That's the fucking Dutchman.
He's a
Shots
Swede.
fired.
He's a fucking Swede. Get it right.
He's a Dutchman, not a Swede.
No, but if you call him a Finn, that really gets under his skin. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it did.
Well, to be fair, and I've told Midnight this. I grew up with a boy down the street who had a severe stutter. I mean, Midnight doesn't even come close. And he got rid of it by imagining the sentences and reading them from his mind. That worked. That's how he got rid of his stutter.
Imagination.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One of my
Don't tell Kent Hovind, but for him it worked. He visualized the sentences and then read them out.
Oh, dude, I agree. I agree with you. I looked into the power of imagination, and it's more powerful than people give it credit for. So your friend, so your friend did the right thing with imagining himself reading.
I mean, honestly, you can just look at yourself. You imagine that you're our friend, and it works for you.
Wow!
Yeah, there you go.
Midnight, when you sing, does it go away when you sing too, or no?
Sometimes. I mean,
like
okay, Jefferson.
I've seen that a lot.
If you want to turn this into a karaoke, I can go get a song and I can sing really
Yeah.
quick.
Well, no, I didn't.
No, I'm not.
David,
I'm not drunk. So.
David, it does work, but getting the windows replaced every single time is getting a bit costly.
Yeah.
Where have all the good men gone, and where are all the gods? Where's the streetwise Hercules?
Shit! What did I do?
There's no singing on this channel.
Fuck you, Jefferson. Fine, you know what? I'll go on Wild Heart's channel and sing on his.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
I was gonna see if we could get me and Rex to do like some dueling bass karaoke going on.
I think everyone who heard that can now be the judge about my joke about the windows. Half of it is Midnight causing broken windows. The other half is the neighbors trying to get him to shut up.
Fuck you, Peter. Seriously, you fucking Dutchman. Have you tried singing, you little bitch? Huh? Have you tried singing? You should sing.
I have, and that's why I went into the music industry and became a DJ and a roadie and a sound guy, and so I tried.
I'll have you know that both of my partners love my voice.
Those that can sing, those that cannot, roadie.
Especially when you're not using it, right?
Or play.
Are they legally blind like you and possibly?
Okay.
No, they're not blind. They're deaf.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too, and possibly.
All right, so now that this has turned into let's get Midnight.
Let's kill Midnight.
I'll wrap this up. What does Speed say? Let's shoot this in the head.
Shoot it in the head.
Yeah,
shoot Midnight in the head.
Hey,
Midnight.
David,
one step forward.
Hey, David, I'm a protective class. Okay,
you are.
Bullshit. Your bones are magic.
Yeah.
No,
I will. David Cooper posts this. Jail Warren is on the plot hole about DD. So if anybody's interested in a little bit more Jail Warren's take on Darth Dawkins, go check out the plot hole. I probably will be tuning into that as soon as this gets off here. So I am going to end this, and thanks everybody for.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Thanks everybody for showing up. Thanks to David and Peter for co-hosting this with me. Thanks to AJ, Clockwork Rex, and Midnight for showing up. Special thanks to Secular Pagan Mom, who's waiting in the background, but probably does not want to be on live. She probably wants to talk to us off air, so we'll jump off and do that now. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff, or hate and stuff like that. Hate letters can be sent to Darth Dawkins.
Midnight.
Your hate, your hate makes me what?
Hate letters can be sent to Midnight.
Darth Dawkins.
Fuck you, Peter.
All right, guys. All right, everyone.
I thought you liked to read.
I do like to read, but not hate mail.
But we need you to read it out for us, so we can have some fun.
Just mute them.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks again. Take care.
Good night.